Hello, ladies and gentlemen. For the final time, welcome everybody to the Hoots podcast, otherwise known as the podcast at Hoots. This is indeed episode 500. I am the nefarious one, Brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez, here for our final rendezvous for a wrestling podcast that started in May of 2016. And here we are. It's January 15th, 2026. Um, First and foremost, before we get into the shenanigans of what's going to take place here tonight, I just want to say, um, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to everybody who has um, ever taken the time to check out a podcast of mine, whether video or audio, to whether it was for a minute, 5 minutes, the entire length episode. Um, Whether you enjoyed our "What the hell is wrong with AEW" segments or the Yon Club, which was a staple back in the day, through the thoughts of a 9-year-old. That was a fun period as well. So many different co-hosts. 10 years, nearly 10 years of authentic and back porch style conversations. We are saying goodbye to what we actually call the podcast at Hoots. My name's Joshie. I've been honored to provide this podcast for you guys for the last decade. And as of tonight, I'm be taking a effective hiatus from wrestling, podcasting, and broadcasting in general. Tonight is our last episode. We've been doing this countdown for about a year. I made this announcement 4 years ago on episode 300, where I was like really, really breaking down and crying, and was having some self-doubt, some internal battles I was dealing with at that time. And I found the gumption within myself to be like, you know what? I still have a lot to accomplish. And I set out a goal, and here we are 4 years later, and we fucking did it. Welcome everybody to episode 500. I'm not alone tonight. I hope along the way we'll have more good brothers joining us tonight. If they're not able to come on, they know how I feel about them. I've been reaching out to a lot of people recently during this process, and it's been a very emotional couple of weeks for me, just knowing that today was coming and knowing that this is going to be the final episode. But when I say emotional, not in a sad way, where I'm not finding myself crying a lot. There's been a lot of closure and just like reminiscing on what we were able to accomplish with this podcast. Look, I'm not cheap heat. I'm not busted open. I'm sure as hell not JD from New York. But I'm proud to say that we're the Hoots podcast, and I wouldn't have changed this for anything. And this is the difficult part, because this is where the closure comes. We're going to record this tonight here on a Thursday night, but when I post that audio version of the podcast tomorrow, that's it. And Shrubby1141 says, "Hey, how are you?" I'm doing good, man. Thanks for checking this out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, guys, this is it. But I'd be remiss without having this special episode of the Hoots podcast without one of my main good brothers of all good brothers, referee Tony S. You recently saw him on episode 498 a couple weeks ago, and I knew Tony would be here and celebrate with us tonight. So, brother, thanks for agreeing to do this. And I know it's the middle of the work week and everything, but it really means a lot to me that you're here and that you wanted to be part of this.
Well, I said, oh, wait a minute. LIJ is about to announce a new pareja. There it is. No, I said at 400 that I would be here for 5. And I said at 498 that I would be here for 5. So it's not a sad time. It's not a last time. It's a next time. So
Right.
let's have some fun here with the people that, whether you out there are watching or going to be listening, let's have fun. That's what this podcast is about. Let's have fun and let's do the damn thing, man. This is it. It's not a sad time. This is a celebration of accomplishment for the things that for what you've done, as no frills. This is the way that it is style of wrestling podcasting for 500 episodes now. So be proud of what you accomplished. You enjoy the hiatus, but the hiatus starts when we're done.
Right.
So you still have a show to do, and let's have fun. Let's do the damn thing, man.
Let's do it, man. There's a lot of gratitude that I want to share here, and I don't want to get to the part where I'm becoming like Chris Van Vliet. And it's not a knock towards him because I think it's a cool concept that he ends all of his interviews.
Just wait till this gets clipped. He's not, this bastard is knocking Van Vliet now. He's not. This is gratitude is not a knock, and really there's not enough of it. So
yeah. It's there's a lot of people that I want to give a shout out along the way because as I've always said it when we've done these anniversary shows or big benchmark episodes, that it's not just my show. Obviously Tony has played a big part of it.
But your name is on the show.
It was at the beginning part of it. Actually, first started it was
my show, cutting my music. It's my show.
No, I don't think I ever did anything that, but we did have the Josh Lopez wrestling podcast, but I never did the whole "this is my show" and that's it. And no, we've had a great crew here that's been part of this process for the last 10 years. From Adam Daly, who I started the show with 10 years ago, and I don't have enough time or words to express how grateful I am for him for not only being a great friend and a brother, but starting this project with me because kind of similar to where I am right now in my life, I'm in a bit of a crossroad. And we talked about this a little bit the last time we were recording, Tony, that, I grew up during this podcast. I really did. When I started this, I was about to turn 22, and here we are. I'm about to turn 32 in May. So it's really a full circle moment for me right now. And I want to thank Adam because he was a very, very big part of this podcast and the way we formatted the show, the way we talked about wrestling, the way we kind of gave the theme of what we wanted to present and bring something different to the space. He played a big part of that. Same thing goes to Brother Carter. I wish he was here tonight. I really did. He did share an audio clip, and I appreciate him reaching out to me. He did send an audio shout out, so you guys will hear that in the audio version. I would love to have Brother Carter here, but he's busy. Life happens, and I'm happy for all his success in Arkansas and him doing his musical thing and being the best collegial musical director out there. And I'm very proud of him. And I wish he was here tonight, but he did send his well regards to everybody. Matt McCool, another person that's played a big part of my podcast journey, not only with this show, but also the Pipe Bomb with McCool and company back in the day. We shared that experience. I want to give shout out to the guys from the New Age Insiders, Bill, Chris, Bill Neville, Chris, and Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great to me. Liam Stryker,
Mm-hmm.
big shout out to him. He was a guest on this podcast a couple of times. I appreciate his advice and getting to pick his brain over the years. And he was a good brother of all good brothers. Another one to me that was played a big part of my life was B-Rob. the master of the bees, as
Mhm.
Brother Carter would say. Shout out to my man B Rob. Random ramblings with Rob. We've had so much fun over the years just shooting the shit. This is like when we were doing the pipe on back then. That was really like our I guess you would say TVMA era of podcasting, where we would just say whatever the hell we wanted and talked about whatever the hell we wanted, joked around about waterfall and God knows what on that podcast. But we had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun, nuanced conversations on that during that time period as well. Um, Big shout out to Anthony DeStefano, aka Mr. Rant with Dant, one of my good brothers during this space, and not only getting to record podcasts with him on here and on his show. I've some of my favorite wrestling conversations and live conversations in general during the past 13 years of doing these podcasts and stuff. He played a big part of it too, and I always enjoyed talking with him and just shooting the shit about life and talk about music. Music was a big part of this podcast for a lot of years, just expressing our love for music and how it's a great mental escape for us in a lot of ways. Also, talking about yeah, just Linkin Park, sports, a whole bunch of stuff. So, Ant had an amazing run with his show, and he reached out to me the other day saying his congrats, and I appreciate him reaching out to me. And this, it's really cool. You do this stuff for a long time, and even you get the fun opportunity to meet great people, and they become your friends. In my position, I'm lucky to say that my main friends in life I've met through this experience in this podcast. And it's a little different from other people. Other people have their friends that they live in close proximity to them. Most of my friends live all across the country, and I don't get to hang out with them as much as often. But I feel like I have with everybody that's been on the show, and I'm very lucky to say that I've been able to hang out with them at wrestling events, spending time with them at their houses, like Adam and Derek. Let me stay over there, get to hang out with Mitchell McMule and you, and WrestleMania 33 in Florida. In one of the biggest dumps of a football stadium I've ever seen in my entire life. You got a football stadium and you don't have water. How the hell you don't have water?
I mean, they did have water, just wasn't very good.
It just doesn't make sense to me. It was a hot night, man. I was sitting next to Matt, and he was losing his mind seeing Sasha Banks lose in that Fatal 4-Way.
Well, that's what I heard.
We worked out to see the Hardy Boys make their epic WWE return. That was
Everybody
a fun night.
did, yeah.
I got super choked up. It was like past midnight, and I thought my favorite wrestler was retiring right in front of me, The Undertaker. Outside of CM Punk, Undertaker was always been my main guy. I thought that was
the most depressing ending of a live event I've ever been to, because after The Undertaker, it took him forever just to lower down into the arena, and after that, everybody, the lights went dark, and then that was it. No thanks for coming, no nothing, and everybody's in the stadium going, all right, what do we do now? I guess the show is over, and we all just left. I was next to NXT's Chip Danning and his lovely wife for that.
Shout out to Chip.
Yes. Hope he's recovering from that ill-advised Tatum Paxley headbutt on NXT.
Chip is doing really good, man. Do some really good stuff at NXT. Mm-hmm. So WrestleMania 33 out in Florida. I forgot to mention with the Taker ending. It was the gongs at the end that really got me, especially being the Taker fan. I was very lucky to be there for that show, but also in Dallas when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame during WrestleMania 38 weekend. They had everybody passed out like these "Thank You Taker" signs. I have it in a frame. I haven't been able to put it up yet in my apartment here in Florida yet because I'm not paying extra money for fucking putting holes and shit all over the apartment. I'm not ready to do that yet. But Taker played a big part in this, and so I guess I should give a shout out to Undertaker as well. But like I said, we had a big barrage of people reaching out to me over the week, and we were gonna have a bunch of good brothers coming on the podcast today, and we have one popping up right now. Shout out to my main man here, Rob Aurelius, from ARCG Media and the Resilient Pod. Rob, what's going on, man?
Josh, congratulations, man. 500 episodes, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And Tony, congratulations for being part of it as well, too.
Hey, man, first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you. And by the way, it's not my name on the show. I have nothing to do with that. Okay. I am just a very supportive tag team partner. That's all I am. I will stand up on the apron. Just let Josh get all the glory. That's the way I operate.
God. Well, you contributed to a lot of his success, so you gotta.
Josh was
for that.
Josh was going to be successful with or without me. All Josh did was like, hey, you want to come on? We got room for you. Okay, let's come on in. So no, yeah. Listen, that could be a detriment in the wrestling business. I might as well just.
Well, I mean, if you are working for a company in Jacksonville, then I get your point.
Hey, we did not say that. We did not say that.
Hey, I'm on my way out. I really don't give a fuck at this point. So.
You haven't for a year. Don't even lie about that.
Yeah. Rob, man, how are you doing? You doing all right?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. I've been thinking about this episode all day, and I remember when we spoke on the phone about a few days ago, right over the weekend.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. We were talking, we're catching up a lot on life, and now you're out in Florida. This is the finale. I remember when we spoke 2 years ago, episode 300, when you told me that you was thinking about putting this to rest. And then, I kind of told you, listen, man, I love your podcast. Don't give up on it. And you went ahead to do 2 more 100 episodes. And, I heard Tony talk about it before where he said that he was going to be part of episode 500. But I'm not sure if you remember, Josh, but I told you that your last episode, I wanted to be a part of it as well, too. So, like I said, I've been waiting all day to get on, and here I am. So I wanted to take a moment, again, to, just congratulate you for 500 episodes. That's a huge milestone. Tony, I don't know if you know this beautiful beverage right here, but it's Terramana Tequila. And I just want to thank Tony, to Josh, to everyone that's been part of the Hoots podcast, for everybody that's listened to the Hoots podcast. So this toast right here is pretty much for, anything that's to come. This is not goodbye, right? This is probably see you later, right? We never say goodbye in this type of industry. So, gentlemen, if you allow me, I'll make this toast.
Absolutely.
Podcast.
Yes. Hey, see, if I had known that I'm not getting up from camera, but I accept this toast right here. I am. Baby, I was not prepared for this, but no, no, I definitely accept the toast. And like I said, it's an episode for celebration and having fun. And and like I said, Josh, this is, you talked about just before we went on the air. You're like, well, I'm talking about gratitude, and I don't want to rip off somebody else, but it is gratitude, and it's gratitude from people like us to you, and in reverse, it's all of family here.
Yeah.
And we all look out for each other, and I think that's something that you brought that kind of atmosphere to a place that really doesn't have it. So, a celebration to you and to everybody that helped make this possible. Absolutely.
Cheers.
Paramount is all about gratitude. So in the name of the Hoots podcast and much success, and like The Rock always says, share the mana. Salute.
Salute.
Yes. I will be enjoying mine off of camera.
Yep.
Only in moderation, kids. Only in moderation.
Only in moderation.
Yes.
So before we get into the rest of the show, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen today. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. We're just going to go with the flow here. But we do have a couple of segments that we're going to do along the way. We had a whole shitload of questions that we got this morning. Shout out to Mr. Q&A himself, Chris Letta, throwing up the X at X Scenes Letta 24X on the Twitter machine, and of course, Main Event Swerve's own Mike Rubio, a good brother from Houston, Texas, that I got to meet in person in New Orleans for WrestleMania 34. This is the trip I went with Brother Carter. Man, it doesn't feel like that was 8 years ago. Jesus Christ. So we got questions. That'll be the last segment that we'll do today. But I wanted to mention a couple things before we get done with this monologue here and express my gratitude. You know, when we started doing this podcast, like I said, I was telling Tony before he came out here, Rob, that like I was in a little bit of a crossroad in my life, like what I wanted to do, right? Like I was able to build out a niche for myself with the transcripts and everything and get my name out there from that point of view. But here I am again, not knowing what's next for me outside of writing wrestling articles every day. But in that time, you know, it feels like it was yesterday, but there was a time where I was spending close to 60 hours a week on wrestling, not only just doing the articles, but having this podcast as well. I was covering almost every promotion under the sun before the pandemic started. And once that kicked in and went through the whole furlough thing, overcame that. And one thing that I'm very proud about this podcast is that we've been able to adapt. I could probably say that's one of the main words that I could describe this podcast, is that we've been able to have, we were able to adapt, be resilient, have that grind mentality that, like, we'll be honest, you know, trying to come up with something new to talk about in a wrestling podcast every week for nearly 10 years is not easy. I don't I never want to be a person that puts myself in another person's shoes. That's just not how I am as a human being. I'm sure it'd be difficult. I'm sure there'll be time where people will be burned out and they don't want to talk about wrestling and they want to talk about something else, you know. But with that, I've tried my best for the last 10 years to kind of give you a different perspective where it's not just me coming out here and regurgitating shit that you hear from Wrestling Observer every day and everything you see on X and all these shows that have no substance or nuance to the conversations that they're having. It's just a lot of people spewing out the same things because they can't think for themselves. And on my way out here today, I want people to understand that A, it's okay to be yourself. B, it's okay to not be okay, because we're not perfect. We all go through shit. And I'm glad for the times that I did get emotional on this podcast and I was vulnerable and I was able to express the shit that I was going through in my life. And I have no regrets about that. I don't, because my validation is not based on what other people see me through. It's how I see through myself and how God looks at me at the end of the day. I don't need validation from other people. I don't. And lastly, if you're going to do a podcast like this, I want you to think for yourself. If you find yourself in a position where you want to be critical and you want to be that wrestling fan and you're doing it and that's how you generally feel and you don't like this company, at least be consistent with it. And if you're going to talk about it in that manner, at least try to be productive with it. Because I'll tell you, especially for someone who's been doing this for over a decade and seen so many shows like this come and go, the last thing anybody wants to hear is somebody listening to someone bitch for 99% of the podcast, where there's no solution. You're regurgitating the same shit that you probably don't believe. You're just saying it just for likes and retweets and subscribers and comments. I think people have more appreciation for you if you spoke from the heart and just left it at that. The last thing we need is more clout chasers in the wrestling space. There's enough of them across the board, and I don't need to name names. You guys know who they are. They expose themselves as the weeks go on. I don't need to say it anymore. But on my way out today, I have a sense of pride knowing that, you know what, since day one, since we started this podcast, I remain true to who I am and my messaging and how I look at the industry, and I'm leaving the same way tonight. So my salute out is to anybody who wants to take a chance in this, because this is not easy. It's really not. I was a very shy kid growing up, dealt with a lot of bullying in my elementary school years. For those who don't know my story, I was born partially deaf. I had tubes down both of my ears. I took special ed classes for a long period of time during my early elementary school years. And I can express gratitude every day because I knew that I could be having a different life right now. And I'm very lucky. The worst thing about myself right now in 2026 is that I got fucking tremors and I got shaky hands, then so fucking what? You know what? Like, dealing with my hearing problems and overcoming a partial of Asperger and stuff like that, growing up as a kid and everything else that's happened in between. And since then, I'm very proud of the man that I am. Like that's what I was saying. It's okay to not be okay. You don't have to put up a front and act like something you're not. And especially if you want to try to do something like this and be on camera or become a broadcaster, whether you were shy or you weren't the most popular person in class or wherever the fuck the situation is, take it as a personal challenge to yourself to do something like this, especially if you have family members who doubt you, like, oh, you're too shy, Joshie. You're too shy. How you want to be an announcer if you're so quiet all the time? Do what I did. Took it as a personal challenge and succeed in spite of it. Now, when I say in spite, don't express that. Let your work speak for you. Don't let your mouth speak for you. Let your work speak for you. And that's the best advice I can give to anybody, because people believe in people that are authentic. They put the work in and they follow through with their actions. I could come here and brag out and pump my chest out and say I'm the best wrestling transcriptionist in the game and all this other bullshit. At the end of the day, if my work doesn't show it, it doesn't mean anything. And the same thing goes with this podcast. I say that we're the most authentic wrestling podcasts out there because it's true and we speak from the fucking heart. And I'm very proud tonight. Like I'm in a different headspace than I was on episode 400 or episode 300 where I was like really emotional. I'm in a really good place in my heart, spiritually. I guess I'm holding a bigger sense of pride in my life right now than I did a couple years ago, due to the fact that I was able to achieve one of my main goals in life and move out of Chicago. And I'm recording this in Florida. And to get to 500 episodes and to move to a different state on my own accord and on my own terms, nobody can take that away from me. And I'm carrying a lot of pride tonight. It's sad. I'm going to miss this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to miss this. And I think you said it perfectly, Tony. Never say never. This is a hiatus. This is a break that I need for myself. I feel like the space in general needs a lot of work. It needs to improve a lot. I think opportunities are given to the wrong people, just the way this wrestling media business works. And I feel like we did our job, and I could bow out gracefully now, knowing that I did what I needed to do in this space. I know what I'm good at. And if you asked me when I started this 10 years ago, I didn't know my value. I was 21 years old at the time. Here I am, 31 years old, 10 years later. I know my value now. And I'm bowing out gracefully. So I just want to say again, for everybody from Andrew Baydala to Sam Piopo, Brandon DeJesus, Patrick Fritz, Rob, Tony, Matt, Derek, Adam, Mike, Chris, B-Rob, everybody in between, and my mentors in my broadcasting school, Jonathan Hood and Steve Muehlhouse. And again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I can't thank you guys enough. because 500 episodes for a wrestling podcast alone is fucking insane. But I just want to say again, thank you guys. Thank you. So before we get to one of our favorite segments that we used to do here on the podcast, I think it's time we bring back one of our signature segments. It's called This Week in WWE. We're gonna play this. We're gonna get to the segment right after this break, right here on episode 500. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 500 here of the Hoots podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Before we get into our main event segment, which could be our back porch Q&A segment, what we're going to do today is briefly go over some of the big changes that's been going on in programming this week. And then also, I'm bringing back probably our most popular segment of the history of this show. What the hell is wrong with AEW, which we're going to be doing after this segment. But one of the fun things that I'm proud of when it came to this podcast is that I can bring my experience of making the transcripts and kind of give you a different look into the weekly program than kind of like the knee-jerk things that you see people like tweet out as the show's happening. Like, this is where I talk about like context and substance. I just feel like a lot of people are reacting quickly to something than processing and actually talking about it. I think there's a difference there. Like, I could take something in a near glance and look at it from one clip on X and make an assumption out of it, but do I really understand what's happening? No. I'm just saying something for likes and retweets. Like, let's be honest here. So hold on one second. You guys hear me? All right, cool. Just want to make sure. So for this week in WWE, we're going to get to what happened this past Friday in Berlin, Germany. WWE right now is in the middle of a European extravaganza tour on the road to the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre, congratulations go out to Drew for becoming a WWE champion, defeating Cody Rhodes in a 3 stages of hell match. Thanks due to some interference with Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes getting his eye off the ball. But Drew McIntyre is the champion. It's kind of interesting. When I started this podcast, this is right when Shane McMahon was back in the company, and he was like, him and Stephanie are trying to fight for the power of like Vince's like respect or whatever. This was before they became general managers again for Raw and SmackDown, right around in like 2016, right? And it was going into that Payback pay-per-view that I was at in Chicago, and here we are 10 years later, and we're talking about Drew McIntyre winning a championship on a taped show in Germany. It's crazy how much the company has grown in the last 10 years since doing this podcast. Like, I don't think people actually realize that SmackDown was still on Tuesdays when we were doing this podcast originally, and now they got a separate network to themselves. And we saw this big title change on Friday. I'll start off with Tony here. What was your thoughts on it? What was your takeaway from everything that we saw on Friday? Did you like it or no?
You talking about everything or just the?
No. Just talk about the Drew thing specifically.
I think that I think a lot of people, the Drew storyline had a bunch of roller coaster arcs, I think. And, I think it all started really at last year's or WrestleMania 40. So, because Drew really, at the time, he wins the World Heavyweight Championship from a not 100% Seth Rollins, and then wants to make it known to CM Punk that he's the man now, and then won Helmsley crotch chop later. He loses the world heavyweight title. So after that, it's, they screwed me. Everybody screwed me. I'm Claymore and freaking Rudy Charles, and just a whole bunch of but I think right now it was the right time. I thought that Germany was the right place because especially back in the day, you didn't get international major world title changes. You didn't get that. So the fact that you get one, it was tape, but the fact that you get one, and made it special for the fans over there, and it's Drew, which I think people love. People either love to hate Drew McIntyre, or people love to hate the fact that they love Drew McIntyre. So I think that it was the right place at the right time, and it's going to be interesting to see where he and Cody go forward now, because Drew's been fighting for really this moment. Now he's there. How's that going to affect the Royal Rumble? Cody is not in the tournament to crown a number one contender.
Right.
So unless Cody enters the Royal Rumble and wins it for a third time, he's not getting close to that WWE Championship unless somebody from Raw wins the Royal Rumble.
Right. Rob, I know you are a big advocate of Cody Rhodes, and we've had our conversations about things that in his title reign, and it was interesting with a little story. Me and Robert were able to be in Dallas when Cody made his return to the WWE. 38, right, guys? I got the number.
Yeah, it was 38.
So Cody here, walking into 2026, drops the title to Drew. Rob, what was your thoughts on it? Did you get to see the match? What was your thoughts about how everything transpired last Friday?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the full match, but I definitely saw the highlights on social media because I believe the match or the show was early that day or something like that. I was really shocked to see that Cody dropped the title in 2026. I wasn't expecting that because, the rumors were we were supposed to get the third match of Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania, to end the trilogy. But I do agree with Tony. At some point, Drew McIntyre, with all this back and forth that was going on, he had to win the belt. If we go back to that match, which I believe was Clash at the Castle, when it was, I believe, Gunther versus McIntyre, and everybody was like pissed off that night McIntyre did not walk out of that arena champion. Had you pulled the trigger then, can you imagine how crazy it would have been? I feel like the reason why they allowed him to win in Germany is because, remember, they had that show coming up in Scotland. And Drew promised the crowd the last time WWE was out there that he was going to bring the title home, and he did,
Right.
McIntyre, look, you mentioned I'm a Cody advocate. Cody is one of those people that you call a good brother. I know Cody for quite some time, very close to him, spent a lot of time with his family at WrestleMania 40 before he finished the story. But, when it comes to two guys that left the WWE at one point, were released pretty much from their contracts, came back, different characters. Drew McIntyre, of course, came back first. And when Drew came back, this was a whole different guy. This was even the Drew McIntyre that we got when he came back to NXT is a different Drew McIntyre that we got on the main roster. It's a different Drew McIntyre that we got when he won the championship, during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? When he, I remember, Josh, I think I may have told you this in the past. One of the last shows that I went to in 2020 was that show in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center by my house, where McIntyre was feuding with Brock Lesnar. And that's like the show where he gave, I'm not sure if Tony remembers, he gave McIntyre gave Brock Lesnar probably 3 claymores, one of them on the stage. And then weeks later, they announced that the shows were not going to be with fans anymore because everybody was already shutting down. WWE was one of the last, companies to actually, go, and not do shows with fans anymore. So that was 2 weeks prior to that. And I remember, in Brooklyn, just feeling like, man, this guy, eliminated Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. This guy won the Royal Rumble. This guy's going to WrestleMania. And I kept telling people, this is what happens when you leave the WWE and you come back, reinvented, you do everything you need to do. You come back a brand new star, brand new person. McIntyre was always a big dude. He was always tall. He hasn't shrank ever since, but he obviously got much more developed muscle mass wise when the last time he was with WWE. When he came back, I said, this is what WWE likes. This is what, Vince McMahon at the time liked. Like when you looked at a super heavyweight, like the Hogan times and stuff like that, Drew McIntyre fits that. He's young, he's charismatic. He knows how to talk on the mic. He can wrestle. He has barbaric matches, and we've seen it. I mean, I'm still getting goosebumps from that match he had with CM Punk in Atlanta at Bad Blood. I was actually there for that. Ago, and McIntyre, you got to give him his flowers. So this time around, when McIntyre was in the world title picture, where obviously he got screwed over at WrestleMania when Priest cashed in and whatnot, and he came back and all this stuff was going back and forth. This feud alone with Cody Rhodes, I knew something was going to give. So I wasn't expecting it. The way I saw it was, does McIntyre get included in the world title picture? So maybe it's probably Roman versus McIntyre versus Cody. But when I saw that it was one-on-one Cody versus McIntyre, of course I wasn't expecting McIntyre to win the three stages of hell match. But when I saw that he actually won, I said, you know what? I'm sad for Cody. But last year, I remember talking to a few friends when Cena had actually won the title and became the 17-time world champion. I kept telling people, I don't want Cody to win the belt again. And people were like, are you serious? You're a Cody fan. You love. I was like, I love Cody. I'm a big. And Josh, you remember when Cody finished the story, I was one of the most emotional people out there, celebrating this victory, celebrating this, that Cody had made history,
Yeah.
When he lost it to Cena last year at WrestleMania, I said, listen, I'm okay if he doesn't win the belt at the end of for the rest of the year. I'm okay if he doesn't win the champion. I actually didn't want Cody in the world title picture for a while, because I wanted Cody to take a break. He's still recovering from that pec injury that he had a few years ago. Obviously, as of recent, he's been dealing with that ear injury that he had that goes all the way back to Elimination Chamber when Travis Scott accidentally popped his ear. A lot of people don't think about that, but that injury comes all the way from back then. And I was like, I'm okay with Cody taking a break. I'm okay with Cody taking a little hiatus. And on top of that, let's not forget that Cody also recently had a child, right? He welcomed his second daughter into the world. So I was preparing myself for Cody to step away for a bit so that he could focus on, family things, health and all that stuff, and just take a break from, carrying the company on his back since he had won the championship at WrestleMania 40. But when I saw that Cody won the belt again at SummerSlam, I said to myself, okay, where are we going to go with this now? So we thought it was going to be WrestleMania, that Cody was going to probably go all the way to WrestleMania. And I was okay if McIntyre was included in the title picture. And I was okay if McIntyre did win the title, but, he won the title now. He won it at a SmackDown, which was, in a different country. And it's Triple H mentioned this a few weeks ago when John Cena retired. It's a new era. So, McIntyre being champion right now, I look forward to how they book him as champion in 2026, what kind of challenges he's going to have, what kind of matches he's going to have, because I think this time around, being the fourth ever undisputed champion since this new title was introduced a few years ago, I think McIntyre is going to have a great reign.
I agree with you on a lot of fronts there. I'm getting a little bit of background noise. I'm not sure who's this from.
That's not from me.
Let me just say really quick, when I look back into everything going into what happened on Friday, first thing I want to mention first is I've really been enjoying this feud just in general with Cody and Drew. The promos, the little vignette thing that they had where they're brawling at Drew McIntyre's house, and Jeremy Borash probably produced that, and
probably
yeah. Also, a big shout out to Nick Aldis, who's played an excellent role as a mediator between these two guys. I mean, it's kind of ironic where it's kind of a similar feud that Cody had with Kevin Owens this time last year, but I agree with Rob in a sense that I didn't want Cody to become champion again, but if you're gonna have a transitional champion coming out of everything what happened with John Cena, then I guess Cody was the right guy to be. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people with podcasts are like, "Oh, we got to do Cody Rhodes and CM Punk at WrestleMania this year." I'll be honest with you. I never thought Cody was walking into Vegas this year with the championship. I don't care, and I'm going to put this in the description of the episode. The fact that people are fucking relying on the server on what the main events of WrestleMania are going to be this year is exactly what's wrong with the space today. I'm just being honest. Like, I had to call a spade a spade. These two clowns do nothing productive for the wrestling fan, the wrestling industry, media. It's a slap in the face of somebody like me who actually went to a broadcasting school in college and understand what it actually means to be a journalist. And Brian Alvarez has a characteristic of a fucking 13-year-old girl. He just has no gumption to have any accountability for the stupid shit that comes out of his mouth. And the fact that he's going to sit here with a straight face every week crying about how John Cena quit. Don't get. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
So it's just mind-boggling. It's like, how many more examples do you need that Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer do nothing productive for the wrestling fans, and you're gonna allow them to cloud your view going into the Royal Rumble? And I heard Meltzer say this, so this is gonna happen. If it doesn't happen, it's bad booking, Triple H, bad booking. This is what I'm talking about. Not thinking for yourself. And here we are, Meltzer this whole year is like, it's going to be Cody and Roman at WrestleMania. It's going to be Cody and Roman at WrestleMania this year.
It's going to be Cody at the Rumble, and Tony Storm.
And this whole lead up into the Rumble, because the show's in Saudi Arabia, everybody's like, Brock Lesnar's going to win the Royal Rumble because it's in Saudi Arabia. Like, are we like catty high school girls who just come up with assumptions for everything because things didn't go our way or whatever it is? Like, that's just like the attitude that I get from the IWC these days, acting like catty high school girls who don't get what they want, so they're gonna act salty and petty about every little thing that happens. So I'll tell you this, because there's an underlying story here that's going on with what happened on Friday. We don't know what happened with Jacob Fatu, right, who attacked Jacob Fatu. I think that'll be addressed in the coming weeks. SmackDown tomorrow is in London. I think it should be a pretty good crowd. I think this is a good call right now, because now we have this little tournament to determine who's going to fight Drew at the Rumble. We got a qualifying matches. We got Trick against Matt Cardona tomorrow. We got Sami Zayn against Ilya Dragunov. Randy's fighting The Miz, and we got Damian Priest and Solo, which I'm looking forward to, because as Big E would say, two meaty men beating the shit out of each other. That's gonna be a fun match. So that will turn into a 4-way at Saturday night's main event, and the winner of that match will fight Drew McIntyre at the Rumble. Saturday night's main event is in Montreal. So I know a lot of people assume that Sami Zayn would win this thing. But I'm going with Randy Orton to fight Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. And I think if people are teasing and throwing out the idea that Cody's going to turn into a heel, I think it's going to set him off that Randy's going to fight Drew McIntyre at the Rumble instead of him. So we'll have to see what happens with Cody and Jacob in the next couple of weeks. But just from my observations of transcribing the show each week, I think there's a bigger story here that people are not paying attention to. And who knows, maybe Randy was the one that took out Jacob Fatu and nobody knows about it. And that was his loophole to sneak in to getting into a title shot. Just throwing it out there, man. Just throwing it out there. to mention this really quick before we get to the next part here. There's been a lot of call-ups from NXT. I think we were talking about this a couple weeks ago in the episode you were on here with me, Tony. You're mentioning who you can see from NXT popping up and everything. We have Jordan Grace now. Looks like she's going to be
SmackDown.
So SmackDown. Same thing with Trick Williams. Siobhan Evans is on Monday Night Raw now. And Obafemi, the ruler. I was very fortunate. I got to see him wrestle in person for the first time last week at New Year's Eve. I got to check him out. Yeah, awesome match with Deion Slater.
So you leaked the footage?
No, I didn't leak shit.
I mean, I could have sworn, all I saw was some fan footage of Oba leaving the NXT Championship belt, because you can't say belt anymore, leaving the championship belt in the middle of the ring, and then, I thought it was you because I knew you were there, and I just wanted to address it.
I'm completely innocent. I will say though, that I was a couple rows behind Carl Silva, who was in attendance, the president of TNA. That was pretty cool.
Josh Hannafin. Okay, good.
I wish that calling matches on AMC would be cool. Since this is the final episode, I'd be remiss. This is the WWE Summit. I'd be remiss without giving some ideas of what we can see as far as winners at the Royal Rumble is concerned, because I don't know what the rest of this card is going to be like. I guess they're building the stadium in Saudi Arabia from scratch, is what I heard, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, they got they got all the network and communications to make that happen. So if any country could make a stadium out of thin air, it's Saudi Arabia. So I'm kind of curious to see how this turns out, to be honest with you, from a visual standpoint, but obviously we had the 2 Rumble matches. Somebody sent me a message this morning saying that the Rumble is going to be in Chicago next year at the United Center. I don't know yet. I think it's a crock of shit that the Royal Rumble hasn't been in Chicago yet. Out of the big 4 pay-per-views, Chicago's never hosted a Royal Rumble before, which I don't understand at all.
Really?
Yeah, the Rumble has never been here. We had SummerSlam 94, Survivor Series, and WrestleMania here. Funny,
you would think that the Royal Rumble would actually be in Chicago at least once. That's actually shocking that it hasn't.
Funny enough, with the Elimination Chamber taking place at the United Center, the first event the United Center had was SummerSlam 94, which was Owen and Brett in the steel cage, and Undertaker against the Undertaker. Oh man,
that was the main event of that SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So you have Brett and Owen in the cage, one of the best women's matches in the history of the company, with Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon winning the Intercontinental Championship back from Diesel. That was a very good moment with Shawn and Walter Payton. And then you have in the main event Undertaker versus the Undertaker, and nobody bought it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you this. I want to get your thoughts on this, because I think the playing field for both Rumble matches for the men and women this year are wide open. I'll be honest with you, I don't know who's going to win. I know who'll probably be in the matches, but as far as who I think is going to win, and the thing with Rumble, everybody wants surprises, right? I think it's going to be kind of hard to have a surprise since you're flying out to Saudi Arabia. People want to be private investigators these days, so that info's going to be leaked out before they even appear in the country. Unfortunately, that's just the way the space is these days. But just from your guys' opinions, as we get closer to the Rumble, who would you like to see win the Rumble matches this year for the men or women? And I'll start off with Rob.
Wow, man. To be honest, I don't even know if I have an answer, because this is one of the first times that the Royal Rumble is very unpredictable. I feel like the Royal Rumble has been predictable the last few years, but this year it hasn't been predictable at all. But to be fair, if you had the men's Royal Rumble I don't know. I would probably say I got a few people in mind for the men's. Probably the first one would be I don't know if he would be my first choice, but just to name one person that I have in mind, Braun Breaker, maybe. You have so many new things happening right now in WWE, right? You got all these guys that just came up. You got Obafemi and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble this year? Do you have, like I said, Braun Breaker? I mean, it's difficult. As far as the women's, I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest. Like, who can I choose in the women's? So, like I said, like this year alone, like last year and the year before that, I kind of felt like I knew who was going to win. But I mean, to be honest, like this year, it really caught me off guard. And, as far as the women's, I don't know, like, do you give it back to a returning Bianca Belair? Maybe she comes, right? Do you give it to maybe Raquel Rodriguez or somebody? I don't know. It's very, very difficult this year, to be honest. And I kind of appreciate it because, like with everything that goes on in social media, people leak so much information, people predict so much, and there's spoilers and whatnot. I'm glad that for the first time ever, I feel like the IWC is like really clueless as to who could win. So I kind of like that. And that's the way it should be, because I remember back in the day when we didn't have dirt sheets, we didn't have anything. Josh and I speak about this a lot. I like when it was fun back in the day to make your own predictions, but at the same time, not even really know and not even hear that there was rumors. Now you hear rumors all the time, and it's like the rumors sometimes and the information itself getting leaked ruins things. And by the time it happens, like people are not really in shock, Yeah. Like nobody knew a few years ago that Ed was going to return. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knew that, Ronda Rousey was going to come into the Royal, debut at the WWE Royal Rumble and pop up and point at the sign, right? Nobody really knew that. And that's already when the internet was already a thing, right? But I'm talking about back in the day when it was so unpredictable. We barely knew anything. WWE didn't have to go back and scratch things off and rechange it because, obviously they used to say things that, sometimes Vince would get word that people knew what was going to happen next. So Vince would go back and change it last minute to trying to swerve everybody. But yeah, this year's Royal Rumble, man, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting, to see who comes back. There's rumors that Jericho might come back, right? I don't see Jericho winning the Royal Rumble. Coming back, there's people that think Jericho will win it, but I don't think so. If somebody's going to win it whoever wins it this year, I do believe is most likely someone who is the future of the WWE.
There's so many to choose from. Like there really is on both sides of the field. But Tony, I'll love to get your thoughts on this because you're tapped into the field as I am. I mean, it's kind of like, in a way, with the Rumble, it's not really a bad pick. Like it's not a scenario for either match where you could go wrong. I mean, this is also a little sidebar for the IWC out there. I don't want to hear you guys complaining about Mick Carter's not getting the shot to win the Royal Rumble after you spent the last year bitching about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble match and then becoming champion. And then you're the same people that come on these shows and be like, oh, they never give guys in the tag team and the big cards a chance to win the Rumble. Oh, but Jey Uso wins and it's a problem. You got to pick a fucking lane. But Tony, go ahead. Who you got?
Well, Rob kind of said it for me, and I agree with everything that he said. I think if you look back in the day, and of course, I'm an old man now, so back in the day means really back in the day for me. But
stop.
But like the Royal Rumble was supposed to be unpredictable. You weren't supposed to know who the winner was. You wanted to know who number 1 and number 2 were. You wanted to know who number 30 was. Nobody wanted to know who number 40 was because that Rumble sucked. And I was there for that. So I think first with the women, I think it is wide open. And I think the winner of because right now, I look at title pictures. Right now, you have a litany of challengers going for Raw titles. And I think no real definitive challenger has stepped up for Jade Cargill's WWE Women's Championship, specifically since she has not had she's probably had one successful defense on television. So I think the winner of the Royal Rumble could challenge Jade. You know, Bianca Belair could make history and win the Rumble for the second time. Maybe somebody like Jordynne Grace could win the Rumble. Not because it's not that she hasn't been in them before, because she has. You know, Lash Legend, I don't think that she could win it, but I think she could make a big time statement in one of the Rumbles. So I think I look toward the SmackDown side for the Royal Rumble. For the men's Royal Rumble, I go the complete opposite. Because yes, you have a lot of people, you know, the roster is stacked. There's a whole bunch of potential in this roster. But with Drew now as undisputed WWE champion, you kind of know for right now, there's a little bit more attention on the SmackDown side than on the Raw side. Right now, my money's on Braun Breaker right now, especially after that whole altercation with Adam Pearce on Monday. So could Braun Breaker maybe still be suspended and, you know, win the Royal Rumble, especially after that I Show Speed moment last year? Braun, you know, Braun could do it, and I think that would be Braun's had a hell of a year, even after betraying Seth and joining the Vision, and you know, taking Seth out of the Vision. You know, Braun could win the Royal Rumble, or could that set up Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? I think that a Raw superstar can win the Royal Rumble. Right now, my money's on Braun because, you know, like I said, the WWE Championship right now, it's, you know, you got Drew. A lot of people on the IWC are already putting graphics, and I use that in air quotes, graphics that Cody Rhodes is going to win the Royal Rumble. There's no guarantee that Cody Rhodes is going to win the Royal Rumble. So, you know, and before I say it, do not expect John Cena to be coming back for the Royal Rumble and winning it and going to WrestleMania. It's not going to happen.
So Peacemaker's not popping out? Peacemaker's not coming in?
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. More than likely, you know, John Cena. I mean, I think Cena would come back because, you know, he already said he was an ambassador for the company. So Cena could, if they're going to pull the trigger on the Hall of Fame, it could be this year. But I think for right now, you know, everything's good. But I think for the Royal Rumble right now, for the women, I shoot to SmackDown. And I think for the men, I kind of shoot to Raw, because SmackDown kind of has those main event players for the WWE Championship. Raw, you're still kind of figuring it out for the World Heavyweight Championship. And Seth Rollins is injured. That's a big piece that's missing. But Braun could fill that at least, you know, because, you know, Braun could beat CM Punk, give, you know, Braun and the Steiner family a huge moment at WrestleMania. And that could lead into Braun Breaker leading the Vision as World Heavyweight Champion. And then here comes Seth Rollins. So that could happen. But the Royal Rumble, which I love, and I agree with what Rob said, the Royal Rumble is supposed to be the most unpredictable event of the year, because that's how the road to WrestleMania should be anyway. You're not supposed to predict who wins the Royal Rumble and then goes on to WrestleMania and faces the champion of their brand at WrestleMania. So there's, you know, at least nearly two handfuls of talent from each of the men and the women that you could look at and say, hey, that person can win it. No, that person can win it. No, that person can win it. And when you have it like that, it's more fun for the fan.
Right. I think for me, when it comes to the Rumble, I'm not expecting a lot of like surprise entrants, to be honest with you. Outside of people that are probably already in NXT, like I know that's been kind of a staple. I mean, Josh, what do you mean you can't have surprises in the Rumble? With the fact they're in Saudi Arabia, I think you probably know by now who's going to be there. Could I see Chris Jericho making his return? Yes, I can see that. Do I see him win the Rumble match? No. I'll start off with the women here. What I really loved with the WrestleMania like promo teasers that they've been doing, not only for the men but for the women, kind of give you a clue of who the main players are going into the title matches at WrestleMania this year. And I'm going with the wild card here, but I think this is finally the year for Liv Morgan to win the Rumble for the fact of going after Stephanie Becker because she is the current champion right now. She also has history with Raquel Rodriguez. If it's something where we're going to have this dissension with the Judgment Day going into WrestleMania this year, where you have Liv and Raquel fighting each other, I could totally see that happening, to be honest with you. So I'm just throwing that out there. I would love to see Bianca because we haven't seen her there. And I'll be honest with you, just to troll people, have Charlotte go back to back and let her win her third Rumble, just for the fuck of But no, I'm kidding. Let's go to the men though. Braun Breaker's a good choice, and I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I wouldn't. By the way, big props to Adam Pearce and Braun Breaker. That segment on Raw this past Monday after that match, that tag match was fucking awesome. I don't think Adam Pearce gets enough credit for how good he is as an on-screen authority figure. I know people say that he needs to cool down a bit and take his meds and stuff, but he's awesome.
He needs a drink. That's what he needs. He needs a drink.
Yeah, that's his best tagline too. I pop every time he says it. But
that's 5 times world champion right there.
I know, right? But seriously though, he's definitely a great authority figure on screen. I think he does a great job. And Heyman bringing up the point that he's the one that put his hands on Braun first. I thought that's an interesting loophole. Is this something where Heyman's going to try to get Pierce to lose his job? That's something to look out for. But I have a couple directions I want to go with, because does CM Punk walk into WrestleMania as the World Heavyweight Champion? I don't know. And I'm saying that as a Punk guy. I don't know. The Chamber is in Chicago. I wouldn't be surprised if the World Heavyweight Championship is in the Elimination Chamber. Most likely. But in the occasion that CM Punk is not the World Heavyweight Champion going into WrestleMania, I'm going to go with Gunther to win the Royal Rumble this year. I'll go with Gunther. You want to set people more off. Yep. Especially after what happened with John Cena in his last match. I'll go with Gunther. But if it's interesting kind of way, if a lot of people want a collision course with Gunther and Brock Lesnar, would it be cool for Gunther to eliminate Brock for the Royal Rumble? That'd be a cool moment. But there's also a wild cards. It would not shock me one minute to see Logan Paul win the Rumble match. It would not shock me at all. And I wouldn't have a problem with it either, to be honest.
That would set more people off.
But for me, and how the storytelling is going, and Seth Rollins being injured plays a big part of this. It really does. But he hasn't been back on TV as of late. I think he's going to come back soon after this European tour is over. But I'm going with the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, to get the Rumble this year. How ironic this year it would be Roman winning the Rumble and he's not booed out of the building. How about that? I'm going to go.
When you haven't won the Royal Rumble in a decade, I think when you haven't won the Royal Rumble since that infamous 2015 Rumble, I think 4 years as champion is enough for you to not be booed out of the building with the quality of work that he's put in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if he wins the Rumble, I got no problem with it.
Right. A couple other things I want to mention here before we get to our next segment here. I want to talk some stuff from Monday Night Raw. I put over the Adam Pearce and Braun Breaker. But I also want to give props to the women for that triple threat tag match, because I thought that was very, very good. We got Finn Balor and CM Punk on Raw this Monday in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Also, Becky Lynch is on the card as well, fighting Maxine Dupree. So some Irish love on Netflix on Monday. I'll tell you what, it's a little different for me. I'm a big routine type of guy. For me, like, I'm very big on my routines, and not only just adjusting to this new time zone I'm in, but also kind of like my work schedule. So here I am in a new state, a new time zone. Now we have these international shows where I'm doing my work in the afternoon instead of nighttime. So it throws me off a little bit, where I don't have an article to do while there's like a big sports game going on. Oh, okay, I could sit and relax for a bit, but
hey, that's okay. Just keep going until the Rumble Royal in Saudi Arabia, 2 p.m. Eastern time start
on a Saturday too.
On a Saturday,
yeah, I think that's a good call because, well, hold up, they do the NFC and AFC title games on Sunday, right? They just do it, bam, bam, right to each other.
Well, let's check it. Let's check this out here,
because that's coming up soon.
Let's see here.
Well,
I look for that.
You know what? Let's scratch that, because the Pro
that's possible too. Yeah, well, because the Super Bowl is February 8th, and they normally take a week. And then they normally take 2 weeks to get ready for the Super Bowl. So you're mostly right about that.
You got the Pro Bowl the week before that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. No, nobody does. Anyways,
it's just a vacation.
That's all right.
That's all it is.
Let me go. Let's take a trip to Dumping World Stadium and pull around, play.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe they'll have water over there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah. So no. From what I'm gathering is that the AFC and NFC title games will be next weekend. So the weekend of the 24th and 25th. So there won't be any. So the Pro Bowl will most likely be that January 31st date.
Right. There's a lot of stuff going on, my man. It's good. Good to have some stuff to look forward to. Before we get to our next segment, is there anything you guys wanted to mention about with this being the last episode or anything like that while we're on here?
Yeah, I would definitely love to say something, unless Tony wants to go first.
No, Rob, this is your time, man. You called it.
Well, I didn't want to take away too much time from this last episode, but I do wanted to say that, as you guys may have my podcast jacket on, this is a podcast that Josh helped me create 2 years ago. So, I've had my media company for years, ARCG, right? We're turning 13 years this year in June. And, in 2023, I remember my company was celebrating its 10th anniversary, and I had a private event. It was the first time that I did an activity that was social, but it wasn't on social media. It wasn't to the public. It was a private event. So I invited a lot of my clients over the years to this private event. It was actually on Father's Day. So it was kind of difficult to get people to come to the event, but a lot of people made it. Had about 100 people at the event. And when I came out to make my speech, one of the things I asked everybody, during the speech was like, what do you want ARCG to do in the next 10 years, right? Because we were celebrating the 10th anniversary. And people started shouting podcast. And I already knew Joshie at the time. And I remember telling Josh about this. And I said, man, it's crazy. Everybody kept saying podcast. And I remember saying to everybody, no podcast. I will never do a podcast in my life. And, this is why I always say, never say the word, never say never, right?
That's right.
Fast forward in 2024, I go through one of the most resilient moments of my life. And I remember in fall of 2023, I'm in Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, and I'm waiting for my ex-girlfriend, who was my girlfriend at the time, to pick me up from the bus station because I had just taken a bus from New York down to see her. And I got a lot on my mind. And one of the first things I'm thinking about is I need to call Josh. I have this itch. And I called Josh, while I'm waiting for her. And one of the things I said to Josh was like, Josh, you remember this conversation I had with you a long time ago that I might start a podcast one day? I said, well, listen, man, I think the time has finally came. And I was like, I'm thinking about creating a podcast. And the only reason why I'm reaching out to you is because I would like for you to be the co-host with me. And this was in fall of 2023. April 2024, we shoot the first episode of the Resilient Podcast. And I do got to say that the reason why I'm sharing this story and this moment right now with you guys is because if it wasn't for Josh, I would have never had the courage to start my own podcast. So, today is episode 500 of the Hoots podcast. Tomorrow, I will be shooting episode 46 of my podcast, So I don't know when 500 is coming. I mean, I keep thinking about 50. 50 is a big milestone, right? But I mean, will I get to 500? I don't know. It's not that many people that make it that far, but Josh did. We're living it right now. It's happening right now at the moment. So, Josh, I just wanted to take this time again to give you your flowers and to salute you and everything you've done. And thank you for, helping me create this podcast. You didn't stick around for the whole entire thing, which is completely fine. You was going through a lot of things at the time. A lot of things were happening in your personal life, and you just weren't in the right headspace to help somebody co-host another podcast when you wasn't too sure when you were going to end your own or if you was going to end your own podcast, So, like I said, man, if it wasn't for you, the Resilient Podcast wouldn't be born. So, I'm 46 episodes strong now, thanks to you, and I truly appreciate it. And, when it comes to the podcast world, a friend of mine told me one time, his name is Jab. He's actually the guy who made this jacket for me. He said to me, a lot of people, when they talk, sometimes it can just be verbal diarrhea. He was like, but with you, you're good with podcasts. He goes, because, you know how to engage, you know how to get people's attention. And that's what I think it's about. I think it's about conversation. It's about a conversation that people can have. And, a podcast shouldn't be of people screaming and yelling and cursing and acting crazy. A podcast should be civil. I mean, of course, there's going to be some crazy moments, or maybe like a spur of the moment type of situation, but a good conversation. And, I've had so many of those with Josh. Josh and I have never had a heated conversation. We never had a bad conversation. And I love conversation. Because, one thing is that we watch pro wrestling. One thing is that we watch the things that we watch, or we participate in certain things in life. And another thing is that we talk about it. And, I think the Hoots podcast, that's what they did for these last 10 years was make conversation about wrestling fun. There was never any BS. There was never any nonsense. And, I really got to give my hat off to Josh because for 10 years, Josh did, he carried this as long as he could, you know what I'm saying? So it's not easy creating a podcast. People ask me every single time, hey, how do I create a podcast? How do I go about a podcast? And it's so funny because going back to episode 1 of the Resilient Podcast on April 19th, 2 years ago, I didn't have headphones. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't even have a soundboard, And I was thinking about today when I got on this podcast with you guys. I was like, should I bring my soundboard? I was like, no, you know what? I'm just a guest, so let me just, go in there and do my thing. The microphone on my iPad is pretty good for the most part. But I remember, Josh already had himself situated. I didn't. And it took me a few episodes to get that gear. When I finally did, it took me a while to get the volume good and all that stuff. But I mean, listen, man, when you do a podcast, and I'll be honest, 46 episodes tomorrow, right? But at some point, I thought about maybe not continuing and probably stopping. And, a friend of mine named Megaran, who was a guest on my podcast, told me, listen, the reason why sometimes I ask people if they're going to invite me to their podcast to let me join, a few episodes in is because sometimes a lot of podcasts don't make it. Sometimes after a few episodes, people don't make it. I remember a friend of mine who I reconnected because of the podcast. She told me I had a podcast a long time ago, but she was like, after 10 episodes, I quit. So for those people out there that are listening and they probably have their own podcast or somebody that wants to start their own podcast, I'm here to tell you, listen, it's not easy. Sometimes you just got to know what you want to talk about. Sometimes you just got to make sure that you can carry conversation. But it's a fun thing. It's a very fun thing. And when you could be like Josh, 500 episodes later, man, it's truly something remarkable, you know. So I just wanted to take that moment to just share that with you guys.
I appreciate that, brother, and I appreciate you, and to push through to keep anything going, especially when you know, we all could be overwhelmed with how life is throwing things at us and all the curveballs that come along the way. I kind of look at it as a challenge to keep doing what you're doing and then making excuses to not do it. You know, I broke down on episode 300 because I was allowing a lot of self-doubt get in my head and mess with me at that time. And you know, self-doubt is the biggest thing that I still struggle with to this day. Now, have I been able to tame it down a little bit over the years? Yeah, and I'm proud of that. I'm in a much better mental space now, like I said at the beginning of the show, than I was a couple of years ago. But the best way I could say this to anybody that's thinking about starting a podcast is that these storms are going to come. It's just life. We're all going to deal with a lot of shit. This is a great platform to allow yourself to be vulnerable, even when you don't want to press the record button. There's been plenty of times, even over the last year or so, where I did not want to press the record button, either because I didn't have anything that I wanted to say because I was so burnt out with the IWC and what this space has become, stuff that I've been going through in my own life, and just burn out in general. But who am I to lie to my audience and not achieve this goal because I'm too selfish for my own good to face an issue head on and allow myself to be vulnerable and learn through bad shit. So if you're going to do a podcast like this, like the advice I gave out earlier, I still believe that, but the main thing is you got to be consistent. You just got to. People rely on you. They do. They rely on you. And I'm proud that we hit this benchmark because it's a great accomplishment. It really is. 500 episodes of anything is insane. So thank you, Rob, for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Folks, that is what happened this week in WWE. Rob and Tony, I don't know what's going on with you guys. Like, I don't know if how much longer you guys can stay or if you guys need to run. I don't want to keep you guys on here for too long. If you need to go, just let me know.
I'm here to the very end.
I'm here.
All right. Well, we got into our wrestling talk. Now it's time for some shenanigans. Ladies and gentlemen, about 4 or 5 years ago, myself and the director of operations himself, Derek Stoughton, created a segment at a time that became controversial at times, but also a remedy for people in a lot of ways. A cure for the wrestling insomnia known as All Elite Wrestling that you can catch on TBS and TNT every single week. And we came up with this segment in a comedy manner, not like I'm going to come on here and pop a blood vessel like JD from New York, but we wanted to come on here and express some observations that need to be expressed because there's a lot of 3D glazing that goes on in this space when it comes to AEW. I mean, you can look at Sports Illustrated and John Alba, and I don't need to mention the Wrestling Observer again. You already know what it is on that end of the spectrum. But one of the things I am proud of with this segment is that it was funny, it was informative, and we stood on the point because a lot of times when a lot of people have segments about their disinterest for another company, they bring up something that the other company is doing to make their point better. In all the editions that we did of this segment, I never brought up WWE in the segment, and we kept it on the same topic. So with that said, it's time for one of the most unique, creative, controversial segments in the history of wrestling podcasts, otherwise known as What the hell is wrong with AEW? And this bad boy starts in a wait for it. 3, a 2, a 1.
Your meat, beat, 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 your meat.
I'm telling you, my time, right now, right this minute, 2022, we're living it. My time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
And what intensity.
The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that it's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Oh my god. Thank you, Derek Sutton, for the original theme song for this segment. Oh my god, that's so possible to this thing.
The deafening crowd silence on that last clip right there.
There's a reason why I put that there.
Thank you. That's the crowd saying, no, you don't.
Yeah, and she's going to the other company. Anyways, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to What the Hell is Wrong with AW, brought to you by the good folks at the Wrestling Server Newsletter, John Alba and Sports Illustrated, and of course the folks at Fightful Select. Oh man, where do I start, man? I haven't done this segment in a year and a half. That's how long.
Just like the Hoots podcast, you start somewhere.
I got to the point where I was reminded of a very important life lesson. The biggest message you can send to somebody is saying absolutely nothing at all. And I took that approach when it came to the AEW because I didn't want to get to the part where people were just labeling me as the anti-AEW guy. I'm just showing you the fact that this company is not as elite as you want to promote it as it is. And instead of me being put in the same box as Cornette or Conan and Disco and JD from New York, or everybody else is anti-AW slants. By the way, I want to say thank you for JD for stealing our gimmick, especially with your reviews for AW Dynamite. I just want to say thank you for the copyright infringement. You might as well just call your Dynamite reviews "What the hell is wrong with AW?" because that's basically what you did half the time. But look, it's 2026. We're nearly 8 years into this promotion, and I still don't know what's elite about this company. We can start off with that. What is your company? What is your identity? And I still don't know. And I'll be honest with you, since I stopped covering AEW on not only the podcast, but when I stopped doing transcripts for them, I wasn't really paying attention to the shows. I would have it on as background fodder. If I got bored on a Wednesday night or whatever, if I needed to take an hour nap, I would put Dynamite on, and it did the job for me. So we can start there. Hey, if you need a nap, man, put on that Dynamite and you hear Excalibur call a couple of matches, man, you're ready to grab that pillow and just pull the fucking recliner up and just chill for a minute. Get that nap that you've been needing for most of the day. AW is definitely the cure for insomnia in a lot of ways. Yep. Exactly, Tony.
Yep.
There's so much that I could talk about, but everything always has to be said that's already right in front of you. They're plastering all these awards from these paid outlets Oh my God, look at all the awards we got from Sports Illustrated. Oh my God, we dominated the Wrestling Observer News Awards. Does everybody give a fuck about that in 2026? And then now we got ESPN giving out awards to AEW. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to come in here and tell you with straight face that they do every single thing wrong or they should go out of business. That's not the point of why we did the segment first. But what I will tell you is that for a company that brags and pumps their chest out about how elite their wrestling are, it's kind of like the people you go to high school with who think their shit don't see because they're like in an AP class and you're regular folk and you just do your own thing with regular classes. That's the vibe that I got not only from AEW, the promotion, but their fans who love to call themselves sickos. So since we stopped doing the segment, we've gone from AEW Glazers to AEW sickos. So I see that nothing has really changed with the promotion since the last time we did this segment. And wow, not surprised. We have Tony, instead of tag matches, we have party matches. This is a new thing now. We have party tag matches. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the Young Bucks, the Gates of Agony, O'Doyle and fucking who the fuck who from the Don Callis family. Don Callis family member 34 and 35. And like, yeah, all these tag matches that are all over the place make the referees look stupid. The fact that Aubrey Edwards and Excalibur still have their jobs on worldwide television is a slap in the face of people who are actually good at their own crafts. Like, I can't tell you, it's like nothing has changed. Excalibur still sucks. Shivani is a 3D glazer. Like, everything is the greatest thing he's ever seen. Oh my God. It's a random fucking show in Nebraska on Collision. Oh my God, this is the greatest match I've ever seen. Oh my God. Mike Bailey against fucking Tola Leona is the greatest match, big man, small man, I've ever seen in my life.
It's the greatest night in the history of our sport.
Yeah, and then in some ways, I feel bad for Bryan Danielson. He has to sit out there now doing commentary with these buffoons.
He's going to carry the team, Josh. Don't you know that?
Yeah. I good. I'm glad that Bryan is prioritizing his health. Take care of yourself. Heal from your injuries. I respect that. If you want to do commentary, he's not that bad at it, to be honest with you. I actually enjoy it, but for him to have to sit through these fucking marathon pay-per-views, especially, that's one thing that hasn't changed with AEW. The site that I write articles for, WrestlingHeadlines.com, reached out to me like, hey, Josh, you want to cover Forbidden Door? We'll give you a couple $100 for it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. This is where I'm at with AEW from a professional standpoint. If I don't have to cover it, I don't watch it. If I get paid for it, I'll watch it. And I'll do a good job with my article. And I covered Forbidden Door. This was right a little bit after SummerSlam this past year. And the show's in London. This thing went on from 2 o'clock to nearly 8 p.m. Central Time. Mm-hmm. That's how fucking long this pay-per-view was. Plus, there was an NXT pay-per-view that I had to do that same night, NXT Heatwave, which I think was Owen Femi and Javon Evans, if I'm not mistaken, because that was in Boston. Mm-hmm. They try to justify placate the sickos, so having 14 match cards. So, Rob, you would have 4 pre-show matches and 10 matches on the main show. Nobody's going to remember about 60% of the fucking event by the time it's over. Nope. And especially they do this on their B pay-per-views, Tony. Mm-hmm. They do it on Wrestle Dynasty. They do it at fucking Full Gear. I understand if it's Double or Nothing or All In, like their big stadium shows, but sitting through 5.5 hour pay-per-views and 6-man tag team matches that go past 15 minutes is just ridiculous, because all the matches look the same. There's nothing about it that stands out. You have 3 to 4 hardcore stipulation matches on each pay-per-view and they all look the same. Like, I'm trying to remember the last one that we just watched. What was it? Wrestle
Dream.
Wrestle Dream, yeah. I feel bad for the city of Chicago. That was more of like a wrestling nightmare. But but seriously, bro, like you had John Moxley's in the match. He's bleeding. Must have surprised nobody. Fucking Stevie Wonder saw that coming. Ray Charles in his fucking grave could see the fact that John Moxley is bleeding during the match. It's not just me saying it; other people are saying it. I'm not gonna do the whole thank you list routine, but when she said that's pretty funny. You know, she's like, "Hey, I'm not. I'm the greatest wrestler." It's not just me saying it. Other people say it. Sports Illustrated says it. The Bleacher Report says it. Oh my god, man! It's the same stuff over and over and over again. And not only that, I'm supposed to believe that Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland are tag team partners now. Yet every time they cut a promo, they're bowing out their chest. They're doing their ore farming. Nobody ore farms more than wrestlers in AEW. I'll say that. Ever since I figured out what that term was, Rob, ore farming. Like you have a brawl, right? And somebody plays their entrance music and they gotta do their fucking dance and look into the crowd like Jeff Hardy would do, or farming. That's where it came from. Like, hey, somebody's getting their ass whooped right now in the ring and you gotta do this.
Hey, get yourself over.
Or what was the Brian Cage line? Get my shit in.
Get my shit in era.
It's just it's ridiculous. I want it to be good. I love MJF. He's the man. He's the saving grace of this promotion. I said it since the beginning when they started in 2019 that he's the saving grace of that promotion. But at the end of the day, guys, nothing has changed. There's nothing elite about it. I can see their style of wrestling in a bunch of different independent promotions across the world. It's a knockoff of Ring of Honor. And at the end of the day, it's still a dirt sheet vanity project. Like, it's just, okay, all right, MJF just won the title. Let's have him fight Bandito. All right, fine match. Good luchador. No harm, no foul. But it's like, all right, who's he going to fight next? Hologram?
No, don't you realize Commander's supposed to get the next title shot?
Yeah, my bad. Mascara Dorada. Like, yeah.
Blake Christian gets the next title shot.
Oh God.
No, I'm just no.
Like seriously, Rob, you put the title on MJF and then he's finding these fucking bums from CMLL. That's what they have him do. Fighting these guys from CMLL, and it's all over the fucking place. And then the women's division, the fact that Britt Baker hasn't been shown on TV for nearly a year or so. I don't know what's up with Thunder Rosa. Same thing with her. Anna Jay is about to go to the WWE.
Are they still in the contract with AEW, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa?
I believe so. I feel bad for them in a way because Adam Cole's been injured and obviously he's going through a lot of shit. And Adam Cole's an awesome guy, so I don't really have anything bad to say about him. He's been good to me over the years, but I hope he's doing better. But it's just like I watch the show and it's like I've always said, it's a dirt sheet vanity project just to appease Meltzer and what he wants. And then secondly, AEW is a rehab for malcontents from WWE. Mercedes Moné has brought next to nothing to AEW since she's joined that company. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because a lot of people act like her shit doesn't stink. But for somebody that calls herself the CEO, none of their business has rose since she's joined the company. Hell, they can't barely fucking sell out the little arenas they go to now. They were having shows at the fucking United Center, and now they had this show last night in Phoenix in a bumblefuck musical theater. But again, this is the second biggest company in the world. Oh my God, Tony Khan has all this money in the world that he's stealing from his dad. It's not even his own money.
May I say something? I'm sure people have said this already over the years. And I'm not saying this because I'm a big Cody supporter, but when AEW first came out, I remember the noise and all the that whole it was like a hurricane, right? It was like a tornado, right? It was coming in full force. People were scared. People from WWE were shaking in their boots. remember, being an avid WWE fan for years, thinking to myself, holy crap, you always had the WCWs, you had the TNAs, you had the NWA, you had the Ring of Honor, right? Which I gotta give a shout out to Ring of Honor because, when it was the guys at Sinclair Broadcast Group, they were doing their thing. I'm forever thankful for Ring of Honor because I got to give a shout out to one person, and I'm pretty sure you know who it is, Josh. Prince Nana.
Yes.
Prince Nana was the person who introduced me. Gene Snitsky was the first wrestler I ever met and became friends with, and he was one of my first clients for ARCG Media, and he was the one that put me on the map to the wrestling world. But Prince Nana was the guy who introduced me to the actual business, because Snitsky at the time was not an active wrestler. He was doing movies and whatnot. But Nana was with Ring of Honor, and Nana was doing everything he was doing. And this is way before, the whole Shane Strickland thing and all this other stuff. Swerve, actually, we call him Swerve Strickland now, right? But, it's crazy. Like, Nana introduces me to this world. And I go to Ring of Honor and I meet all these people. Jay Lethal was one of the first people that welcomed me with open arms. You had, the Briscoe brothers, rest in peace to, the one that passed away. But, I remember Ring of Honor it's doing its thing. And AEW was created. And I remember people saying, dude, there's been nothing more competitive. There's been nothing more dangerous to the WWE since WCW. And I always said to people, well, keep in mind that WCW at the end of the day, who did they get buyout? WWE, right? And then, when AEW first started, I was a little bitter. And I was like, I'm not happy. I don't like this. I don't want competition for WWE. But you know what? I was like, as a businessman, I do have a background in marketing. I said, let's see where this goes. And I'll be completely honest. I feel like people have said this before. In the very, very beginning, Cody and the Young Bucks and Jericho and these guys, literally, like, it all goes with the first event they ever did that was All Elite, which was what? All In, right? Before AEW was even a thing. I think that was one of the greatest times in wrestling history. I feel that one of the last moments that AEW may have had that was really, really successful was, when you had William Regal come out and during the end of that match between, Daniel Bryan and I still call him Daniel Bryan. I never called WWE. I never called wrestlers by their second name. Cesaro is always going to be Cesaro to me. Rusev is always going to be Rusev. We're all due respect. But Daniel Bryan's finding Moxley, right? And William Regal comes out and it's this crazy pop. I told people from the very beginning, and I think I told this to Josh at some point in one of our conversations back in the day, I feel that the minute that Cody Rhodes left, AEW went a whole different direction. And yeah, you got Billy Gunn there, you got Arn Anderson, you got Jim Ross, you got freaking Jim Ross. You got some of the greatest names in the history of pro wrestling. And it's like, why can't they, why are they so different? Why are they so different? They bought Ring of Honor a few years ago. And when they bought Ring of Honor, I was terrified. I said, oh, no, it's going to get worse from here. WWE's going to have to step up. And now people keep saying, like, yeah, WWE's going to have to buy TNA now. But they actually bought AAA, about a year and a half ago. So I don't know what it is about AEW. I went to one AEW show my entire life. And, I got a lot of friends there, with Prince Nana, Britt Baker, the list goes on and on and on, the people that I know down there. I would never trash talk the company because some of my friends work there. But even they themselves have said it to me. They said, yeah, man, I wish things were different. I went to an AEW show. I was invited. I had comp tickets. My partner and I, Matty Rock, went out there. It was at in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. And, I even saw Tony Khan come out and he was shaking hands with the fans and whatnot. And I literally said to myself, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's maybe because I've been spoiled with the WWE all my life, but I was like, I can't sit here and watch this. And the Hardy Boys were coming out, Matt and Jeff, who I love and have a lot of respect for. But I was like, I just can't watch this. And I barely even promoted anything that night. I barely even promoted that I was there. I did thanks Prince Nana. I did say to him, thank you very much. And, when they had those shows, because, I live in New York. So when they had those shows, Grand Slam and all that stuff, I was looking forward to possibly going to one of those shows. You know, when the first Grand Slam happened at Arthur Ashe, I was thinking like I should go. You know, I should go. You know, and I remember the crowds. You know, when some of these stadiums, they were crazy. You know, you got Double or Nothing. You know, Dean Ambrose returns to AEW. You know, you got the CM Punk moment when CM Punk returns to wrestling, and it was at AEW. But how did that turn out? I felt that the minute that Cody Rhodes left and the minute that Jade Cargill left, because the story was Jade Cargill was offered a lot of money to stay in AEW, and she took less money just to go to WWE. I told people this is going to go downhill. And, you know, with Ambrose bleeding every week or whatnot, and whatever the case may be, it's not fun. And a lot of guys are getting injured. And look at some of these guys from WWE who went to AEW, jumped ship to AEW. You got Rusev, you got Aleister Black, you know, you got El Idolo, who, you know, he did go back at some point again. But you had so many guys and women that left. You know, there's rumors this year that Paige is going to come back to WWE. You know, obviously we know Jericho's WWE bound, you know, so I tell people, I don't know, man. I mean, one of the most iconic moments to me in AEW history was when Goldust and Cody had that match. You know, they had that versus brother match. And at the very end, you know, Cody told them that he was going against, you know, a tag team and he needed a tag team partner. And he asked Goldust to be his partner for that match.
Yeah.
You know, he said, I don't need a partner, I need my brother. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was one of the most beautiful moments in wrestling history. And then after that, I really don't know where things went. I really don't know. And Josh, you mentioned AEW is about to make, 8 years? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I do pray for the best for them. It kind of does give WWE a little something, you know, because it's competition, right? But I mean, I don't know, man. When you got TNA, you know, falling apart when it was Impact, right? You know, Dixie Carter ran into the ground. You had all these people managing a TNA, Impact, whatever, and they couldn't get it to work. And then finally, it changes and it goes back to TNA. It's not Impact Wrestling anymore. Now TNA is doing much better, and everybody's like, "Oh, is it because WWE's helping them?" I'm like, even if WWE was helping them or not, I feel like TNA got its groove back. You know, what made TNA so successful was those years that you had Kurt Angle, you had Sting, you had Kevin Nash, you had Scott Hall, you had all these names, right? You had Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was running the show at one point. You had Ric Flair return, and, you know, when Ric Flair retired and went back to wrestling, you know, it was at TNA. TNA is doing great again. And, you know, I don't even know what's going on with Ring of Honor these days. I haven't watched Ring of Honor for years. But listen, man, AEW, if they don't get their shit together, they're just going to be like WCW. You know, I don't think WWE is going to acquire them, but I just think that, I don't know. I think that at some point, because I know that new kid on the block phase has been dead a long time ago. That new flavor of the month thing, it's been died out a long time ago. And I told people that's exactly what it is. It's just a new kid on the block. It's the new flavor of the month. At some point, people are going to say how unlikable, unwatchable AEW is. And you remember when apparently the ratings, they were beating WWE every week. But it's like, look, now WWE's on Raw's on Netflix and whatnot. And it's like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. And even if AEW leaves TNT and goes somewhere else, I don't know. I don't know if they will survive. But I just know that who they once were, they'll never be that company ever again.
Yeah, here lies the problem. It's their fans. And it's Tony Khan. That's the problem with AEW. It's their fans and it's Tony Khan. This is a circle jerk of people who can't think for themselves and want wrestling to be one way. And Tony Khan enables it. Case in point, they do rally dances about beating WWE. No, you didn't beat WWE. You beat a brand of NXT that made a bad decision to take their show off the WWE Network and put it on the USA Network. And you act as if you were beating SmackDown and Raw every week. No. And the fact that you beat the third brand in WWE is really not something to write home about. Because if you look at the ratings today from NXT right now, compared to Dynamite, the flagship show, it's night and day that NXT is kicking Dynamite's ass in the ratings, and it's not close. And the our overarching response to any criticism that ever goes to AEW is but WWE, but WWE, but WWE. TNA is only getting help because of WWE. No, TNA is doing good because they finally have some stability and continuity with their leadership there. Let's start there. Let's talk about the fumbles that's taking place. Ethan Page revitalizing his career in NXT. Ricky Saints, another guy that you could have highlighted in your promotion, again, doing good things on NXT. Blake Monroe openly admitting, even during the best part of her career in her feud with Toni Storm, which was a hot angle, that she would rather be in WWE than AEW. I can keep going here. Rusev, does he win a lot since his return to WWE? No, but he's on TV and you see him in interviews. He's having a blast to be back in the company. Aleister Black just main evented the last SmackDown of the year. No, actually the first SmackDown of this year. This match with Davey Priest, Aleister Black from AEW main evented the show. Jade Cargill, again, homegrown talent, is the current WWE Women's Champion. And before last week's SmackDown, you had Cody Rhodes and CM Punk as the world champions in WWE. I rest my case there because the handling of CM Punk in AEW is the biggest fumble in the history of professional wrestling, and it's not close. I can compare it to how WCW treated Bret Hart after the Montreal Screwjob and missing on an opportunity and capitalizing on having somebody as hot as Bret Hart as he was during that time period, to where Punk was. You had him come back for the first time in 7 years. And this is gonna be a game changer, right, Tony? This is gonna be game changing.
This is it. This is it. It's gonna change the game. This is what the wrestling business wants. We as fans, we brought the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. WWE didn't get him. We got him. He's ours now.
Right.
That's the feeling. He's ours now. We got him away from Vince. He's ours now. We get to bring CM Punk the way that WWE didn't do. That's why they fumbled the ball with him. And
so again, I posed the question. It's not. I never.
There's hits and misses in business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've never come in here and wished death on AEW, but there's too many people and my colleagues with blue check marks, and you know who they are, that glaze AEW for jobs and access and media credentials and the Graham Matthews of the world and et cetera, et cetera. Like the list goes on and on. And it's the same. It's a shame because we have a new company and Tony Khan placated the IWC. Nobody wants to hold AEW accountable for the shit that they put on there. If your wrestling's elite, I'm going to hold you to that standard because I watch a lot of wrestling, and still in 2026, your wrestling is not fucking elite, and it's not close. And on that note, folks, that is what the hell is wrong with AEW.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Everything.
Punk still eating muffins in that graphic?
I think so.
I mean, in a way, like we said, to put a bow on it, nobody wants any profitable, nobody wants any kind of high-ranking wrestling company to go under the way people lose jobs. The more high companies there are, more opportunities there are for everybody to keep the business, vitality of the business. That's the way it is. And right now it is vision and structure.
Yes.
That's the way I see it. And no matter what, and this is what I'm saying, no matter if it's AEW or WWE or TNA or independence or any kind of sport, it's vision and structure that either, everybody suffers from that point where, lack of vision, lack of structure, management issues, stuff like that. It's how you bounce back from them that makes all the difference in the world. And so, like AEW, hey, and that's inexperience. They had A, B, C, D, E, and they've all gone to WWE, and that's but now you've had 8 years to kind of get rid of all the kinks. So, get that structure, get that vision, find out what your identity really is and what you want to accomplish, and then work toward that.
Right. That, folks, is what the hell's wrong with the AEW. We have one final segment left here for episode 500. One last segment here on the podcast at Hoots. We're going to take our final break here. When we come back, we're going to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 500 of the Hoots podcast. Our home of the Hoots podcast is Odyssey, so shout out to the good folks at Odyssey for having us. As always, we'll get to plugs in a little bit, and I'll let you guys in as far as what my future has in store with me. I didn't want to do all the plugs and stuff at the beginning of the show since it's the finale, but we'll get to the whole plugs and all that mumbo jumbo towards the end. But we're going to take one more final break here, and we'll answer your questions next right here on episode 500 of the Hoots podcast. We'll be right back. Yeet. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our final segment here for the final episode here of the podcast at Hoots. Time to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. One of the segments that I'm most proud of is this segment here is the fact that we've had a band of brothers who've made appearances on the show, but also took time out of their day to send questions for our podcast every single week during good, bad times, lull periods during the industry. And the big two shout-outs I want to give here is to Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve, my good brother from Houston, Texas, that's been a big contributor to this segment over the years. And, of course, Mr. Q&A himself.
All right. How many questions did you put in today?
There's a lot of them. I didn't get a countdown, but we're going to start off with Mr. Q&A himself, Chris Zaletta at Zaletta 24X on the True Machine. Let's start off the X for him, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't throw up the X. People will think I'm working it.
Oh, my God. All right, here we go. As always, if you guys want to participate, for those who are checking us live here on YouTube, by the way, make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button. We are over 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel at the Hoots Podcast. This is awesome. I want to thank you guys again for helping us out on that front. If you have questions or anything you want to ask me on the way out here, this is our last segment here. So for those who are watching us live, let us know in the comments section. And Rob and Tony, if anything possible, you guys can ask me as well. Okay, let's do it. Chris says, last round of questions for episode 500. Who do you think will end up being NXT champion February 3rd? So right now, there's the title of NXT is vacated due to Obafemi vacating the title of last week's episode of NXT at New Year's Evil. They're going to have a 6-person ladder match on February 3rd episode of NXT. It's going to be a ladder match. So they're going to do qualifying matches in the coming weeks. I don't have the whole playing field out as far as that's concerned, but my just guess for covering NXT each week, I think it's going to be either Ricky Saints or Tony D'Angelo. So that'll be my pick for NXT. Tony, have you been following along with NXT, or we could go on to the next question? I don't want to drag this out too long.
No. I've been following NXT. Like I said, special get well wishes and shout out to Chip Danny, who was assaulted by Tatum Paxley last night on NXT. I'm just calling it the way it is, and that's the way I saw it. So, Ricky Saints right now, he is the favorite, at least in my book. Got to see how the qualifying matches go out, but on paper right now, Ricky Saints.
Okay. I like that pick too. Rob, do you watch NXT? Is there anybody down there that stood out to you or no?
I haven't watched NXT in a while because a lot of my boys are actually on the main roster now. But if I had to choose anybody, it'll probably be Ricky Saints because I know that he's made an impact since he's been on NXT.
That's an absolute sentiment for all three of us. Shout out to Ricky Saints on that one. Thoughts on Will Hobbs going to WWE? Wow, how did I forget to mention this and what the hell is wrong with AEW? Again, another fumble. Powerhouse Hobbs. Okay, we're going to advertise him as the main event of Collision on Saturday, but guess what? His contract expires as of today, and who knows? He might be popping up on SmackDown tomorrow.
And hey, newsflash. I don't know if you heard, but the spoilers for Collision have already been leaked out.
God.
So imagine that. So, but yeah, if it's true, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, assume, if that he goes to WWE, listen, man, he's coachable, I think. And I think with the array of staff, the trainers, the coaches that they got there, I think, Will Hobbs, baby. I think if he gets the right coaching, oh man, like he could be 2 years from now, major. I'm not going to say he's going to be, big on the main roster, but give him 18 months to 2 years in NXT, being coached, being shown the way how to do things. He could be a big time player in NXT. And then inside, what if I love, fantasy baseball, fantasy booking, because we do that here and it's free. Obafemi and Powerhouse Hobbs come together, either or even at the Royal Rumble.
That is going to be some top tier shit.
That's going to be some big meaty men slapping meat right there.
Yeah, I think Big E is going to need to have paramedics on speed dial.
In the words of Vince McMahon, such good shit.
Right.
Good shit, pal.
God damn it. My thoughts on this is that, again, it's just another example of how inept Tony Khan is at his job. The fact that Wardlow's not in WWE right now is also a shame because he gets the injury bug, and then when he comes back, they put him in positions that make no sense. Why are you going to make him the 18th member of the Don Callis family? It's just like ridiculous at this point. All right, next question here. What do you think the path to Mania looks like for Cody Rhodes right now? Well, I think for me, it's up to Cody. Like, I'm not gonna come on here and be like, oh, he has to turn heel or whatever. Whatever he wants to do and how he wants to go about it is his business.
He's gonna turn heel.
Gonna be a fucking heel.
Yeah.
I'll just say, be careful what you wish for if you want Cody to be a heel. That's all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree with that very quickly. It's up to Cody, and I think it's what's good for Cody. Has always been a businessman, and I think what is good for the business is what Cody's going to do. And if you want, hey, Cody can be a heel. He can do it. So if you, like you said, Josh, Arn Anderson said it, and Arn Anderson said it in WCW and NWA many years ago. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. You want Cody Rhodes as a heel? Look out, and he can do it effectively. You just haven't. This isn't. This isn't dashing Cody Rhodes giving grooming tips. On SmackDown.
The paper bags.
Hey, those the paper bags because Biff Busick, Oney Lorcan was in the ring when he did the Intercontinental title. But hey, be careful what you wish for, because you want Cody to be in heel, you want Cody to be that asshole, you want Cody to be that no remorse. I did it on my own. F the fans, this and that. He can do it, and he can do it effectively. So I think it's up to Cody.
Rob?
Listen, man. I agree with Tony. It's up to Cody what he wants to do. I mean, there's obviously the rumors that this time he's gonna come back as a heel. I did hear a report recently that Cody's gonna come back probably with he's still gonna probably be the American Nightmare, but it's gonna be like a little bit of a just a little change. Sometimes because it's all about evolving, right? It's all about adapting. So, it's
Was
2020.
that report from Cody himself?
I'm sorry?
Was that report from Cody himself? I mean,
No.
there was another report that you had Cody on speed dial. And you refer to him as you refer to him as CR.
CR.
See, from when he was in AEW, which is crazy, but yeah, and I could always talk to Goldust about it, right? Because me and Goldust.
Hey, man.
I mean, it's funny.
Naturally.
It's Dustin, but,
yeah.
It's honestly, with all reality, in all seriousness, it's up to Cody. This is a guy who just finished his story 2 years. It's about to be 2 years since he finished his story. He did what he needed to do. I mean, remember, Josh, you and I were both there. You mentioned it before. Cody came back at that WrestleMania. That same year he came back, he got injured, had that crazy pec injury. We saw a crazy match that he had with Seth Rollins. Cody has carried the company on his back for a long time. And then on top of that, you got Cody, so heartbroken to see one of his mentors retire. I was literally there in Washington, D.C. I was actually in Washington last night. I just came back home today. I actually spent this January 13th out in Washington because I was reflecting on, Cena's a month anniversary since Cena's retirement. And, Cody was the last guy when everybody was already out of the arena, those shoes were still there. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of that stuff has played, in Cody's head. He's got so much going on. And, for him to take I don't know. We may not see Cody at the Royal Rumble. Have you guys even thought about that? Have you guys thought about
that's possible.
That, we might not see Cody at the Royal Rumble at all because Cody might really just be on a he might be back in time for WrestleMania season. But here's the thing. I'm a big Cody guy. I don't see Cody winning the Royal Rumble, and I don't want to see Cody win the Royal Rumble at all. I'm okay with the 2 times that he won. Give the Royal Rumble to somebody else.
I like it.
But Cody, what's next for Cody? We shall see. But like people, like you guys mentioned, be careful what you wish for because Cody's been healed before. As Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, he actually was. I think when he started the American Nightmare gimmick, he was a heel. So
yes.
Be careful what you wish for. I look forward to seeing what Cody brings to us next.
And knowing me playing devil's advocate, I want to piggyback something off from what Rob said. There's not a guarantee that Cody's gonna win the Royal Rumble, let alone be at the Royal Rumble. That also means WrestleMania is in play. Because what if there is no Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania?
Well, that time's got to tell with that because unless there's something where he just snaps on Nick Aldis or whatever, we'll have to see.
Hey, Cody. Well, that's true. Cody Rhodes did say that Nick Aldis worked for him when he was WWE champion. So now we still have to see how that interaction plays now that Cody Rhodes is no longer the champion.
Right. We'll be quick with this one. Thoughts on the Rascals heading to AEW? I like them as performers, but it's not going to make a lick of fuck in AEW. It's not going to make a difference, in my opinion. I think all 4 are talented, but I really don't care. It's not going to make a difference.
Talented young men who can make their mark anywhere in the business that they want to make, whether together or separately. If it was good for them and their respective families to take the money, then hey, take it. As long as you're happy in this business, happiness knows no bounds. So I wish them, I wish them all the success in the world for going to AEW. Only time can tell whether it's a success or not. But
I don't even know who they are, but
yeah,
wherever they end up, I just wish them the very best.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is a sports question here. Your Super Bowl picks and winner. I'm gonna go with the Seattle Seahawks over the New England Patriots. That's my pick.
I don't even see the Patriots making the Super Bowl. I don't.
You don't?
I don't. It's been a nice season for them to go from 4 wins last year to 14 this year.
Yeah.
Vrabel in for coach of the, definitely in as a running for coach of the year. I just, you can pencil them in for the Super Bowl. They got to get by the Texans, and they've had a hard time with the Texans. Plus, if they have a better shot at the Super Bowl, if Buffalo gets eliminated this week. Because more than likely the Patriots are going to meet the Buffalo Bills, and there's no guarantee that the Patriots will squeak out another victory like they did the last time against the Buffalo Bills. So,
really quick before you make your pick, so I want to scratch that. I'm going to go with the Bills over Seahawks. Go ahead. Who do you have?
For me right now, as I look at NFL.com, because yes, I'm cheating. Yes, that's how you circumvent the rules. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. Shoot, you know what? For me right now, I don't know who's gonna win it, but I would just love so the fan base who's been starved for years can get one. I would, no matter who they face it. If the Buffalo Bills win it, that's good enough for me. Just because Buffalo has been starved for 35 years to get one Super Bowl after going through 4 in a row. And that Josh Allen could be the biggest hero in the history of Buffalo if he was to get him a Super Bowl. So, and now that the Eagles are eliminated, then it's up for grabs at this point.
Yeah. Rob, how about you?
Listen, I'm heartbroken, man. I'm an Eagles fan. I used to be being from New York, people would say, "Why are you not a Giants fan? Why are you not a Jets fan?" And I was like, "Listen, we also got the Buffalo Bills, right?
Nobody's a Jets fan.
Are from New York State. I was a Saints fan for a while, because I love Louisiana, but I became an Eagles fan because of my love for Philly, and I've always said if the Bills ever make it to the end, I'm from New York, right? So why not? And like Tony just said, the Bills haven't won it in almost for as long as I've been alive, right? I'm gonna be 40 years old this year. But as
you ain't 40, bro. you ain't 40. Hell out of here.
Well, I'm 39, so. But it's funny. As you guys were talking, I literally looked at ChatGPT and I typed in, "Who's the favorite to win the Super Bowl?" And this is what I read. As of mid-January 2026, right now in the NFL playoffs, the Seahawks are the current betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. I remember when the Seahawks won the last time, they were actually in New Jersey, the stadium for the Giants and the Jets. And, I think they had a very good team then. If the Seahawks are the favorite, great. If they're the ones that win, great. But because I'm from New York, I would love to see the Bills finally win, because I know that my brother is a Patriots fan. So I notice every year when it gets close to this time, I always talk to my brother about, what's going on. And I tell my brother what's going on with the Bills. The Bills are always at the end. Because if you pay close attention, the Bills always make it to because people say, no, it's Dallas. I'm like, well, Dallas always chokes. Dallas does good and then they always choke. But the Bills is the team that every single season for the last, I don't know how many years, you notice the Bills are always at the very end. And then, of course, they tap out. But I don't know, man. People are saying the Seahawks, but, in a perfect world, if we could get the Bills to win this year, I'm going for the Bills.
Yes or no question here is the next one. Do you think The Rock will be involved in WrestleMania this year? I'm gonna say no. Tony?
Nope.
Rob?
No, and it's mainly because they say that The Rock's got a very busy movie schedule this year. So let's see. But my answer is no.
Yeah. And also, it's not The Rock's fault that you guys bought into the whole thing that, oh, The Rock ruined WrestleMania. The guy wasn't even fucking advertised for the fucking show last year, but you want to say it's his fault.
But he owns it, right?
But come on, Josh, didn't you see what happened at the Elimination Chamber? Jesus Christ.
It's right there.
It was a great moment. I marked out just like everybody else, but The Rock never said he was going to be at WrestleMania, so it's not his fault. You guys bit into a whole thing that had nothing to do with him being there.
Card subject to change, dummies.
Yeah, one thing I gotta say is, WWE does this thing with long-term storytelling. We had The Rock come back at Bad Blood, right? That 1 year, and he looked at Cody and he looked at Roman and did that whole thing with the 3 fingers, right? And then last year we had The Rock return just to do that whole thing where Cena turned heel. Everybody's like, oh, well, Cena just said that, that story didn't go anywhere. Yeah, Cena said that because Cena was already, on his way out. But one of the things I noticed about WWE is long-term storytelling. So we still have time for The Rock to come back at some point, again, at some point, and finish that whole thing about, the 1, 2, 3, whatever that was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but, do we see him this year at this WrestleMania? Doesn't really have a reason to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know rumors about next year he might have his final match. I mean, I hope it's not in Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that us here in America deserve to see The Rock retire here where his career. But if Saudi Arabia is where The Rock retires, then, God bless him. I'm still going to be drinking Terramana. I'm still going to be doing my thing, so it is what it is, man.
Since I'm like adjusting to a new lifestyle here, especially being in Florida, I might partake in some Papa Tui.
Papa Tui's great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Papa Tui's great stuff. I use it every day.
Do you think this J. Cole The Fall Off album will be his last? I don't know. I've been so out of the loop with the current music landscape right now, so I'm like the last person you can ask. Like, I have no idea. I know he's still young. He's not old or anything like that. He's talented, so I'm probably gonna say no to that one.
I'm gonna say no to that too.
J. Cole's very unique. So, one of the things I like about him, he's one of those artists that there's no drama with him. There's no scandals. You never hear a bad thing about the guy, right? And, he's not one of those people that keep saying, I'm going to retire, and never retires, right? So, I mean, I don't think this is going to be his last album. I honestly look forward to J. Cole releasing more albums in the near future.
Who do you think will eventually induct John Cena in the Hall of Fame?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Man. I'm tied between 2 people, but if it was up to me, I'm gonna say Randy Orton.
OVW class. That makes sense. I'm so depending on when that happens, I think it can either be between CM Punk or young Randy Orton.
I'll throw Stephanie out there as a dark horse, but also she's getting inducted on same night, so I don't know if that would actually happen.
Right. She gets inducted, all of a sudden she just turns around, comes right back out, and inducts John Cena.
That would be a first.
Yeah.
Listen, in an unparalleled world, people would say it would be Vince McMahon, right? Because Cena's said a lot of, he says that he believes that Vince McMahon is the reason why he is who he is. I got a lot of John Cena stories for days because, Josh, as you remember, I was very close with the Brooklyn Brawler. So Brooklyn Brawler shared a lot of stories with John Cena. And Cena said it himself one time. He was never supposed to make it that far, right? He was just a regular kid. And even when he started this thugonomics thing, people kept saying, oh, we don't want another Eminem, in the wrestling world. But It's kind of tough because, you know, you mentioned Randy Orton, right? Tony mentioned CM Punk. I want to go, you know, a little bit further back. You know, the guy that made him a star, you know, from the very beginning was Kurt Angle. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of folks there. You also have this idea that maybe it's been done before, but maybe sometimes, you know, they've had like multiple people induct a wrestler into the Hall of Fame. So you might have multiple folks induct Cena to the Hall of Fame. But whoever WWE decides to go with, hopefully it's the right choice. It's the right person. You know what I'm saying? That can induct them. Don't be surprised if Vince McMahon comes out, right? You know, he did it for Taker. And Vince is only inducted, I think, only one person, right? In his entire time, which was Taker.
It's Taker and Austin.
Oh, Taker and Austin.
Austin, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I would say Kurt Angle, but I could see it being Randy because of the friendship. Hey, it might even be Cody Rhodes. You never know, right?
Hey, and in the way that you know, depending on how things happen, you know, with contract expiring here, a little lapsing over here, and next thing you know, Cope goes by the wayside, and here comes Edge. You think you know me, and then, you know, so that could happen too. So
that could happen too.
So, you know, and that's a good thing, because I don't think really, like you said, Rob, no matter the person that they do pick, I don't think people are obviously going to be disappointed because you can't make everybody happy these days. But at least for me, I wouldn't, you know, no matter what they go to, I think it would be the right person at that time. And I think Cena would probably have a lot to do with that.
Yeah. You want to talk about another flop of AEW run? Hi, Adam Copeland. All right, next question here. Who would you have the Bella Twins? Would you have the Bella Twins back together soon, or continue this Nikki Bella solo run? I'm good either way, because Nikki Bella on my TV screen is a good thing, and I think she's been doing some good stuff in her return. Yes, the waterfall is good, but I would love to see Brie back on my TV screen too. So I'm fine either way. The Bella Twins don't get enough respect for what they've done in the industry. My jokes aside about the waterfall, yes, she's a hot mom, but
he's not joking.
But no, seriously, I'm glad that Nikki Bella's back on TV, and that triple threat match she had recently with Raquel and Stephanie was really good.
Yeah. No complaints from me either way. I think there's a time and a place for everything. Brie fits in the picture right now. No problem with that. And I am not opposed to one more dose of twin magic soon. I think it's been a long time since I think anybody's seen that. And now we have a lot of newer fans. Now, you know, there's a newer generation of fans who may not know what that was. So, you know, for all we know, that, hey, the only Bella Twins, we only know of Brie. We don't even know who the sister is. So I think, you know, a little bit of twin magic here, one time only, you know, I don't think I would be opposed to that at all.
Rob?
I agree with Josh. You know, since Nikki's been back, she's been very interesting. And look, Nikki Bella's been back to do one thing and one thing only, and it's to help the next generation of WWE superstars. A lot of people sometimes don't see it that way.
Right.
But sometimes when a lot of these veterans come back, that's exactly what they're doing. Look what Trish Stratus did, right? For
giving back to the business.
Exactly. For Charlotte Flair, for all these people, you know.
Lita did it.
Exactly. I would love to see the Bella Twins one more time, right? Just for the old time's sake. Bella Twins did kind of retire a little early. That's the thing about some of these women in the wrestling industry, that, you know, the women do tend to retire a little earlier than the male wrestlers do. I mean, when I found out how old Trish Stratus was when she retired the first time, I was like, holy crap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So many times. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are paying attention, but what's her name? Kelly's birthday, I think, was today.
Yeah, it was today. She's 39.
Exactly. She's still not even 40 years old. Kelly retired from WWE a long time ago, you know?
Right.
And you always got people like Michelle McCool that comes back at all the Royal Rumbles, does a great job. But, you know, the Bella Twins, you know, when they got inducted to the Hall of Fame, a lot of people were questioning why. And I'm like, it all goes back to what Tony said. They literally paved the way just like China, just like Jackie, just like Jacqueline, right? Just like, all these women, and they're in great shape. They're still young. They're both moms now, but they're still young. They can still, and I think there's one more run in them. So why not?
Yeah.
Shout out to the good folks at Wrestle Realm 316 or 316 in this man. I should mention this as a wrestler. But
Yes.
shout out. Hope we're doing good. Who do you think is eventually more likely to turn on the current tag team partner, Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair? We can make this one a quick. We don't have to go in depth with this. I'm actually gonna go with Rhea.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'd like to see that. I mean, the Charlotte Flair thing is I think it's good right now. I think Charlotte Flair is a little bit more predictable, but I'm a very predictable guy in an unpredictable world. I want to see Rhea, go back to where she was for maybe a year or so.
Yeah, Rob.
I don't know, man. It's tough because they both can. What if they do it together, right? What if they both turn on their partners?
I'm not opposed to that either.
Like Tony said, Charlotte seems a little bit more predictable because of Charlotte's nature, right? But I mean, I won't be surprised if Rhea does it. But if I had to give a solid answer, I probably see Charlotte turning before Rhea does.
4 a.m. That's man. You guys in the UK are troopers, man. I'll say that. You guys are up here in the echelon of wrestling fans in support in general. Like, you guys are awesome in UK. Love so many times covering the NXT UK brand too. That was the underrated gem in the wrestling space. So I gotta ask you these Rumble questions because here we are for episode 500. Who will be the possible surprise entries for both men's and women? Gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Chris Jericho and maybe Jada Parker or JC Jane from NXT. Like I said, I think you're gonna get more NXT surprises than oh my god, it's Headbanger Mosh and Thrasher and fucking Val Venus and all these random chimokes like
Val Venus. Hello, ladies. I just saw him when did I see Val? I just saw him 2 weeks ago.
He's still doing this.
I wish I was kidding about that, but I'm not. I saw Val 2 weeks ago.
He's still doing that CBD, all that crap. Still,
yes, he is. Yes, he is. And get your Val Venus autographed towels at a price.
Oh God. I don't know what's more waste of money, men paying money on OnlyFans or that towel that he just brought up.
Oh my god!
I can think of a lot worse. I can think of a lot worse. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You guys have any surprise entrants, or no? We can go to the next one.
No, I think you're right, Josh. I mean, if it was an American location, then we probably would see more. If Jericho were to come back at the Royal Rumble, I wouldn't be surprised to it. Except he's done it before, so
yeah.
But I definitely think more NXT, probably a Jada Parker, a JC Jane, maybe Oba Femi debuts at the Royal Rumble, something like that.
Right. I want to say this is the last question here from Chris, and I want to give a big shout out to him because he's been Mr. Q&A for us for a very, very long time. Not just for this podcast, but for a lot of other shows that used to be on in the past, and especially for Tony when he was doing his podcast. And it's really cool, man. I'm very humbled for the fact to call you again, Chris, a good brother, and the fact that you've been so loyal and consistent to us for this podcast, and just even for the support for my transcripts, even when I got furloughed a couple years, man. Chris has been a real one, and I appreciate you for all the support and the contributions you've added to this podcast for you. So I want to give a big shout out to you, Chris, before I answer your last question you sent me here.
Yeah, I'll echo that, whether it's Josh's show or my show or anybody else. And the thing I like about Chris, the fact that Chris is on point with all of his questions, and he's respectful, and he's a true fan of the game, but he also is authentic in his fandom. And I think a lot of people forget about their fandom or unauthentic in their fandom. And so I appreciate, Chris, like I said, whether Josh had his show, I had my show, whether I'm going to be coming back with the show, who knows? But, I appreciate Chris's participation.
The last question here for Chris is your winners for both men's and women's Rumble matches will be, well, I'm going with Roman Reigns and Liv Morgan. I know Rob mentioned Braun Breaker, and I think he said Bianca Belair too, right?
Yes.
Tony, you had Braun Breaker, and who else?
I had Bianca Belair and Braun Breaksteiner. But you know what? I wouldn't be opposed. But you know what? When you said Liv Morgan, I was like, because she's kind of been like in the last couple of Royal Rumbles, and I've been doing my set. She's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah,
in a couple of these Royal Rumbles. So for her to win it for me, honorable mention, I would not be opposed to seeing Liv Morgan winning the Rumble either.
Right. All right, Chris, from me to you, video one more X for support, my man. Thank you so much, Chris, for awesome questions.
I'm going to do the Midnight Express X. I can't throw my X up.
By the way, you can follow Chris on X if you like it. Xteens24X on the Twitter machine, as Bully Ray would say.
Yes.
All right, last batch of questions here for the show is from Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve from Houston. Rob, I don't want to keep you on too long. Do you need to go, or are you good?
I'm here, man.
All right, cool. I appreciate you. Tony, are you good too?
I'm good, man.
All right. Here's what Mike had to say. For one last time, it's good to be back. I've been gone too long and life has become too busy to almost breathe in the past few months. Sorry for my absence, but thank you guys for letting me be part of this great podcast family. Here's some questions for the last Back Porch session, man. Thank you, Mike. Seriously, you've also been a good brother over the years, and I had a blast getting the chance to meet you in person in New Orleans for that WrestleMania, and I've always said this to everybody that's played a part in the show, whether they've been a co-host or adding questions or whatever. Life gets in the way sometimes, and I never expected anybody to be here for every single episode. If people could come on when they could come on, I understood. If they needed a break for themselves, I completely understand. You don't have to say sorry or anything like that. I appreciate the fact that you wanted to reach out and be part of this last episode. That means the world to me. And I sent you a message earlier expressing that as well. So, again, thank you, Mike, for these questions. How far do you think the Bears will go in the playoffs this postseason? This is first question here. Well, I take this a one game at a time approach. Obviously, I would love to see them win on Sunday night. If they don't, I still will look at this season as a success. And I think that they'll go to the NFC Championship game. That's my answer for this question. But if it doesn't happen on Sunday and the Rams win, I still look at the season as a success, especially after what we had to do with last year's team. So, do you see the Bears as having a winning dynasty that extends beyond this season? I don't know, Mike. I think it has to go from where they need to get more pass rushers, and some extra pieces for the defense because they are kind of getting a little bit old. But I like what we're seeing so far. And as far as if Caleb can even take a further step than how he's played already this season, I think we'll be in a good spot. But as far as dynasties are concerned, I don't know. But I am as confident as I've ever been as a Bears fan, knowing the head coach that we have. And I think that's what's going to push us further along. So I don't know about dynasty, but I think that we're in for a good run. He says, I had to ask this one for my team. With all the hype surrounding the Houston Texans, be real, is there a shot of this team reaching the Super Bowl? It's not out of question to me. Well, I don't think it's out of the question. They have a Super Bowl level defense. It's just their offense is predictable. And I don't know about you guys, but CJ Stroud looked extra mid this past Monday, and that caught me by surprise since he's usually a good quarterback. I don't know what the hell is up with him on Monday, but they have a good defense enough to go to the Super Bowl. I just don't think they're going to make it this year. Tony?
Well, as I take a look here, I mean, you're 12-5 Houston, 14-3 New England. Houston's going to Foxborough, which is going to be cold as hell on Sunday. I don't particularly like that. But let me see. That game that's an afternoon game, I believe. Yeah, it's a 3 p.m. game.
Yeah, Sunday.
On Sunday. So, Patriots right now have the logistical advantages. Houston can make it because it's a single elimination tournament, as Vrabel would say, it's the tournament. So, anybody's got a shot to win this thing. And Houston's just as good a shot as anybody. And a lot of people have been picking the Patriots to win. Houston's got a shot. Will they make it? I don't know. I think the Patriots got this one, but I think Houston has something that they can build for the next couple of years.
I agree with you, Tony. They had the talent. I just think that their offense is far too predictable. They had a lot of injuries on the offensive line this year that kind of fucked them up, but yeah, I think the Texans are in for a good run. Oh man, I knew this question was coming up. Here we go. For you, can you explain what stood out to you about the Vanderpump Rules show that you're about to do?
I thought it was a John Moxley question.
Oh, thank God. No, I want to think, Mike. I did see the questions in advance. He did not ask me about John Moxley.
Oh, okay. No Moxley questions?
No.
Okay.
No, we want to keep this clean and no blood as possible.
Too late now. We already did it.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you.
All right.
So Vanderpump Rules question.
Yes. Can you explain what stood out to you about Vanderpump Rules, and can you see yourself checking out other shows for a pod? Well, for those who don't know, with this being our final episode of the Hoots podcast, I'm taking an extended hiatus from wrestling talk. This will be my last wrestling podcast for a while. I put this out on X yesterday. It's just like, for me, in a lot of ways, I thought this platform would springboard me to a bigger part of my career as a broadcaster and having more opportunities in the wrestling space. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to still go after those goals. I still feel that I have a lot to contribute to the wrestling business as a whole, wherever that is. I feel like I can be a positive asset to the wrestling industry. If I get the opportunity to call wrestling matches, I think I'll do a good job at it. If I could be a writer for a wrestling company, I think I would do a good job at it. Whatever it is, I do want to be part of the industry. But as far as this podcast space is concerned, and podcasting in general, I need a break for the wrestling talk. It's just too much of the same shit. And as much as I'm trying to be the positive guy about wrestling, it takes my enjoyment away from the industry with so much negativity in the way that the business is discussed these days on all these podcasts. And it's maybe my fault for being a glutton for punishment, where I have to listen to all these other shows to try to get different perspectives from other people. And I don't want to be the guy that's anti-wrestling fans and stuff like that. But just the way the space is now and the way podcasting is in wrestling, it's not fun anymore. It's way too toxic. It's oversaturated as shit, and there needs to be a lot of changes. So that's a lot of the reason behind this decision. But we have served our purpose. 500 episodes, nearly a decade in. I have no regrets. I have no regrets from this experience.
You better not. I'll go down there and smack the hell out of you. You don't have any regrets. I'll tell you that right now.
I know. But seriously, guys, it's just it's time for something new. And over the years, I got introduced, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really a big TV watcher. I've never been a big TV watcher. Like, my escapes are music. I'll check out some comedy stuff here and there, maybe watch something on Netflix, something like that. I'm more of a movie guy than I am a TV guy. But over the years, a friend of mine introduced me to a show called Love Island, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I used to watch like Real World and Road Rouge challenges, stuff like that on MTV. Like, I know what reality TV is, but she told me about the show called Love Island, and I gave it a shot. And I was introduced to one of the hosts. Her name's Ariana Maddox. Did some research on her, and her claim to fame is coming from the show called Vanderpump Rules. And for those who don't know what the show is based on, Lisa Vanderpump, who owns a lot of restaurants in Hollywood, is from the UK and has a very wealthy family. And she was in the Real Housewives franchise on Bravo TV. One of her restaurants is called Sir. And the show Vanderpump Rules is based on the staff that she employed at that restaurant, and Ariana was one of the employees there. Long story short, they had 10 seasons in. She was in a relationship with a guy for 9 years. The guy ended up cheating on her with one of her close friends towards the end of the season 10. And that's that whole Scandival thing. If you guys have heard about that before in pop culture, there was this thing called Scandival about 3 years ago that really got really popular and viral. So I started checking out this show about a year ago, and I'll be honest with you, Rob and Tony, I never watched one thing from Bravo in my my entire life. When I first looked into this, I was like, this is too chicky for me. I can't do it. Like, I'll enjoy a rom-com movie here and there, but this is too much girly stuff for me. Like, it's just not my vibe. But I gave it a chance, and I'll tell you what, man, it's toxic, it's messy, it's funny as hell. Getting to learn about people who work in restaurants and behind the scenes of that, I thought it was a cool experience. But the people that were in the show, I don't want to call them characters because they were actually friends. It was very unique to me. So I was exposed to something new, and keeping my options of what I want to do in the future. I wanted to do something in the entertainment space. So I'm expanding my horizons. So if it was something where I got to cover entertainment, I should know something about these reality TV shows. The Valley, that's also on Bravo. It's kind of like a branch off of Vanderpump Rules. And so come to find out that our mutual friend Matt McCool is a Bravo Mark. And
friggin' Cole.
Mitchell McNeil is a Bravo Mark, and he loves all these shows. And I started to reconnect with him about a year and a half ago, and he was telling me about Vanderpump Rules. And if I thought about starting a new show, it was going to be about this. Try something new. So I watched the entire series. They had 11 seasons of the original cast. And now they reintroduce a new batch of people on Vanderpump Rules for season 12, and they are currently airing those episodes right now. So to kind of build up the following for the new podcast that I have, I started a TikTok account, and it's called Sir Files on TikTok. SUR Files on TikTok. If you guys see on there, we are almost to 3,000 followers already. I started this page about 5 months ago, and we've had I compiled a lot of old scenes into the Sir Files page. And what I'm going to do with this podcast is kind of like a rewatch, kind of like investigative type of approach of what made Vanderpump Rules what it is. So I'm taking old scenes and looking back at it, and we'll be talking about it from that perspective. And it's kind of similar to the How I Met Your Mother rewatch podcast that they're doing right now with Josh Radnor, who played Ted Mosby, and one of the writers, Craig Thomas. They have a show called How We Made Your Mother, and they're talking about the behind the scenes of that. So that was my inspiration for this podcast. It's called the Sir Files. And following tonight, that's going to be my new project. For those who are wondering, you guys don't have to subscribe to a new channel or anything like that. It's going to be on this page. So nothing's going to change. I'm going to keep it on Odyssey. I'll change the name of the logo and everything, but after tonight, everything is being directed towards my new project called The Surf Files. And me and Matt will be doing the podcast. Some weeks I'll be doing it by myself, just depending on his schedule.
Right.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, I know it's a long answer, but I know a lot of you have been wondering what I'm going to do next. So I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what's happening. So The Surf Files is my new project. And I'll tell you what, on TikTok, we're over 4.5 million views from the videos that I put up since I've been putting these videos up on TikTok. It's a lot. We're getting a lot of comments and a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting. Vanderpump Rules is a very, very niche market of fans and very passionate fans too. But this is a new project that I'm excited for, and it's something different. And if it's something where this could bring me to opportunity to a big job, or I could go to California down the road if I want to, I'm keeping my options open. So this is a new project, and I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Sky's the limit, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, next question. With the Rumble coming to Chicago in 2027, the Bears getting a new stadium, and Lollapalooza growing, is there a part of you that wishes you could have stayed in Chicago a bit longer now? Oh, man, Mike, don't do this to me, man.
Can I answer this question for you?
Go ahead.
Josh's answer is no.
Thank you.
It was as somebody who knows the inside baseball, it was Josh had been thinking about it, and he decided on his own that it was time. And it was rough and tough for him to even come to make this decision, but he did it. And it's something that Josh and I was talking about 2 weeks ago off air, but I think he's mentally in a better place because he's doing something for himself now.
Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate that. I seriously do. That's a hard question to ask, Mike, because obviously there's a family dynamic that comes into it. I miss my family, and coming up on Saturday will be a full month since I've been down here. I flew out December 17th, and this month has gone by really fast, but I do miss my dad. He told me that he's going to come down and visit me at the end of February, so I'm excited for that. My Uncle Noel is planning to move down here in a couple of years when he's ready to retire. So I don't feel like I'm going to be ultimately lonely down here, but you bring up a lot of good points. Am I kind of bummed out that I miss a WWE PLE at the United Center for Elimination Chamber? Do you think I want to be there? Absolutely. I would love to go there. I would. I'll be there in a heartbeat. If I got approved for press credentials or something like that, I'll be there in a heartbeat. But as far as
how much more stuff you get to do now,
as far as all this extra stuff, as far as me wanting to stay longer, no, my heart was content with the decision that I made, and I've been working at this for 5 years, and this is another thing that I'm proud of, the fact that I worked to make this move a reality. I'm literally talking to you to my bedroom in Florida. This is the legit
this is
deal.
it.
I'm here. So no, I appreciate the question, but the answer is no. Have you had any weird critter or creature run-ins in Florida so far? No. I've seen a raccoon, and I walked past a couple of white swans during my walks because there's a walking trail in my complex. So I've seen a couple swans and a mini alligator in a lagoon. I saw
You're
that
in Florida now.
I saw that. I was like, all right, I need to pick up my pace because I don't want to get got.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's go to the next question here. For a classic segment from B-Rob days, who's your current WWE waterfall and who's your GOAT waterfall? Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Let me drink some water here.
You might get emotional just from that, ladies and gentlemen.
Shut up. All right. For me, current waterfall wise, that is going to go to Blake Monroe from NXT, and it's not close. GOAT waterfall, I'm going to go with Mickey James and or honorable mention Nikki Bella. So that's my answers. You guys don't have to answer if you don't want to. I don't want to put you guys in that position.
As Tom Brady would say, I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth, yes. Let's talk about the future of WWE. In 5 years, who will have the bigger spotlight or bigger moment? Kendall Gray or Javon Evans? What do you see as their peak date in that 5 years? I'll be honest with you, Mike. I think both of them have high ceilings. I don't think one's going to outgrow the other. I think both of them are going to be game changers for both of their divisions. And if you haven't seen Kendall Gray, she's the real deal. I saw her work in Evolve and where she is right now, especially that NXT title match she had with JC Jane last week was fucking awesome. I know there's a lot of Kurt Angle comparisons out there, but she's very, very good. And I know Javon Evans is getting a lot of props, but I'm throwing the caution out there. The amount of pub that Brian Alvarez gives this guy kind of concerns me. The more Brian Alvarez goes on his podcast, he's like, oh, Javon Evans should be the world champion right now. He should win the Royal Rumble. That's doing him more damage to him than he realizes. Yeah. So I'll just throw that out there, but I think both of them have a high ceiling. Tony?
I got to agree with you on both accounts. I was at, was it the, yes. Bound for Glory with Leon Slater and Javon Evans. And seeing him live, he's charismatic, and I think somebody that that the youth of today's wrestling fan can relate to. It's like when he actually did an appearance on another podcast, the No Contest Wrestling podcast. Yeah. And O'Shea Jackson Jr. was talking about Sega Genesis, and Javon was like, I have no idea what that is. But no, I think Javon and Kendall Gray, they have what it takes to break out to be that next star. I don't know if they're going to be superstars or even main eventers, but you want to be somebody that they know your name.
Yeah. Rob, have you noticed anything from Javon Evans or Kendall Gray? Have you seen any of their work?
Well, I gotta agree. I guess Javon Evans all the way. He's been very interesting, very impressive. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the last few matches and storylines that he's been involved in have been pretty interesting. So. Yep. I think he's definitely going to be there. He's going to be up there pretty soon.
Right. What is your favorite TV finale episode or one that stands out to you, if not Stranger Things? For me, it's either the Friends last episode or How I Met Your Mother's. For me, I know a lot of people find that one to be controversial. I loved it. But is there any finales that stood out to you guys, like The Sopranos or anything like that?
Boy Meets World, son. Boy Meets World, son. That's right. You gotta show love to Mr. Feeney.
Rob, were you a big TV guy?
Yeah, my response is gonna be pretty interesting because I don't even know if you guys know, but one of my favorite finale episodes was from a show that was very popular during the pandemic when everybody was home and didn't really have much to do. But do you guys remember a show called Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Yes.
So the finale of that, the final season and the final episode of that show was pretty interesting. I mean, my ex-girlfriend at the time made me watch it, from episode one, from the first season to the last season. And at first I was like, oh, what the hell is this? But I fell in love with the show. I mean, it's so funny that after we broke up, I watched the entire few seasons again over and over and over during the breakup phase, just to remember my ex. So it's crazy. I mean, it was a good show. Stranger Things was great too, but I mean, listen, when it comes to those iconic shows, Sopranos, right?
Yeah, I don't think anything can come up to that.
Right. We got the last 4 questions here from Mike. Oh man, could there ever be a Hoots podcast reunion special, perhaps within the next few years? Think of Derek, Adam, B. Rob, Patrick, Tony, etc., returning for a pod. Absolutely. Well, I don't know what the future holds, to be honest with you. Can I see a reunion special down the road? Absolutely. If we could make that work and get everybody together and StreamYard won't charge you an arm and a leg to have so many people on the platform at the same time. Absolutely. I would love that more than anything. And I'm pretty certain that down the road that I'll definitely do a reunion special if we can make it happen. But I would love to. I would just have to find the right time and place to do it. If I could find everybody to do it at the same time and the same day, that'd be awesome. If not, we'll see. Hey, they say never. Maybe one day I have a change of mind and maybe we could push this thing down to 1,000 episodes. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm content with this decision. I let all my tears out this week. I'm very proud of myself that I haven't break it down yet during this episode. But I accepted the closure now. I have, and like I said, I have no regrets. I'm feeling happy and proud of myself today. I think that's probably the main reason why I'm not crying, because I had this goal and I did it. I think that's probably the main reason why. But yeah, to answer your question, we will have a reunion one day. We will. All right, let's keep this going before I do start crying here. What has our director of operations meant to the Hoots pod over the years? A lot, man. A lot. Brother Carter is not only just a co-host, but a great friend and a good brother for many, many years. Especially when I was going through my healing process over the years for my situation. I don't need to get into it right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Brother Carter, just as much as Rob and Tony, were a big part for me during that time period in my life, and spending time with him in person here in Chicago when he came to visit, or that WrestleMania trip where I got to stay in this house. I love Derek as a brother, man. I really do. I wish he was here tonight. I understand that he was busy, but no matter what, and I told him this yesterday when he reached out to me and he sent me the audio clip. I told him then, just like, no matter what time goes by, anytime we do hang out and talk to each other, it's like we haven't skipped a beat. And that's the same way I feel anytime I come on here and talk with Tony or Rob or whatever. The same conversation with me is the same flow each time. And I'm grateful for that. You don't find that in a lot of people these days. A lot of people like to put a front up, or they have a different energy because they want to project something onto you for whatever issue they're dealing with at some time. I don't want to do it. I want to be the same Joshie. If I'm down, I want my friends to notice that and ask me what's going on instead of me just like being a miserable prick. But Brother Carter's meant a lot to the show, just as much as I have, to be honest with you. What is your favorite what the hell is wrong with AEW moment you can think of?
The last one.
The next one.
Yes.
As John Cena would say.
Yes, the next one. Yes.
It was about because the thumbnail that I used for today's episode is John Cena having his shoes in the ring from Saturday Night's main event. So this is my same way of putting my shoes on the canvas. So I think my favorite moment was ripping Tony Khan after he fired CM Punk because he thought that his life was being threatened during that backstage brawl. I forgot what I said, but I'm sure it's some crazy shit. They may have called him a crackhead that day, but who knows? All right. Also, all right, here's the last question here. He says, Also, what podcast should we be listening to that you might be listening to now? And I hate to say it, but that's it for the last time. All love to you, Oos, and I'm going to miss the Hoots podcast. Continued success. I'm looking forward to following what you do next. Thanks for everything, Mike. Thank you, brother, man. Salute to you, my man. Thank you for the great questions this week, and the brotherhood as well. I'm glad this is the last question because now we can pay it forward, and I could come on here and express the good people that are in this space. Non-wrestling related stuff. I say definitely check out Rob's Resilient podcast, especially if you are into like a mental health journey or you're going through a difficult life in your difficult time period of your life. You go check out Rob's stuff. It's really good and authentic conversations from the heart, and listen to his journey and his healing process along the way too. Also, there's a documentary also that's coming out soon for Rob that he's been working on over the past year that's coming out soon. So be on the lookout for that as well. But I'll definitely start off with Rob since he's here to mention that that's definitely a podcast to check out. Tony messaged me earlier today saying that he's interested in getting back into the field.
Yeah. Listen, it's a little inside baseball stuff. I've been thinking about it for a while. It's just like you said, it's it's a lot that goes into that, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's something I've been thinking about. As anybody who knows me, I'm a sucker for the history of the business. It's just something, I look at it, I watch it every day. It's part of my video study. It's just the way I do it. So it's a possibility,
right? If you do decide to come out with something, obviously I'm going to plug it as much as I can for everything. And
Tony, hey man, I got a chair whenever you feel like jumping on. And Rob too. It's all it's all real, and if it does come back, it's safe space. Like Josh said, it's not about bashing anybody. It's celebrating who you are as a fan and what got you falling in love in this crazy mixed up wrestling business we're all still in.
When I started this podcast with Adam back in 2016, I wanted to bring something different to the table because at that time, the space was kind of similar to how it is now. And I'm sad to say that this space hasn't changed in the last 10 years. That's one thing that I'm sad about on the way out. But we brought something different to the table, and I'm proud of that. We didn't turn this show into a dirt sheet show. I'm proud of that.
Thank God.
I stand accord on my word and being a man of my word and holding myself accountable even when I say something wrong and I get something wrong for the wrestling thing. I hold myself accountable to it, and I think I've done that over the years as well. But with the answer to this question, I want to give a spotlight to people who do right by the industry, and shout out to like Wheezy Blonde, who does like live stream reactions. I see a lot of myself in her and how authentic and off the cuff she is. Like she'll say whatever's on her mind. And I relate to that too. Maybe it's just a Midwest thing between me and her, but Wheezy is a great content creator. Also Minnie as well. Minnie Portable. I would give a shout out to her. Conman167, very entertaining guy from Toronto. Also, big shout out to my guy Stat Guy Greg, who's part of the Cheap Heat podcast with Peter Rosenberg. Been a supporter of their podcast for a very, very long time. I'll give a shout out to one of my other guys and mentors who still does podcasts from time to time on Final Bell Media, Andrew Maidala. So I'll give a shout out to him as well because he played a big part in my podcast journey as well, and I owe him a lot in my life too. So I'll give a shout out to Drew as well. I'm not gonna say any of the sites podcasts because they don't. I I don't think they deserve it, to be honest with you. I don't. I think a lot of those podcasts just come on, press record, and say shit just to say shit, and they're not speaking from the heart. I don't think the coverage is fair. It's very biased on which side they lead on these days, and it's one thing to have constructive criticism, and then there's people who do things just to get likes and retweets, and I'm not into this clout chasing shit. I'm just not. Also, I want to give a shout out to another content creator. His name is Attitude Era Mike Tryson. I think you guys might see him on Instagram. He's a very entertaining guy and good content creator. And lastly, and certainly not least, I give a shout out to all the women who are content creators, because they are taking risks to enter a field that's very male dominated, and want to express their love and passion for what they love about wrestling and not making it about sexual or whatever. Oh, I'm just a wrestling fan because I have the hots for Roman Reigns or whatever. Like, I give props to Minnie and Weezy and like Marissa from Make Yourself Famous. They're big AEW fans, but I enjoy her TikTok work, and she's very, very talented, and she has no filter too, so that's probably another reason why I like her. But her and her boyfriend, Johnny, do work. It's called Make Yourself Famous. They do some really good work. Check them out on Instagram. But to all the women, I say thank you for taking the chance on this field and trying to make it a little different. And keep your head up and not allow people who don't have the ability to have any self-awareness or respect dictate what you want to do in this field, because you have the power. Don't feel like you have to backpedal whenever you get some backlash for a wrestling take that you have. If you want to rip the IWC, it's justifiably so. You have every single right to do so. Okay? I want to say that poorly, especially for the female content creators, because they deal with a lot of shit that they don't deserve in this field. And you guys should be commended for that. But on that note, we're about to say goodbye. I want to thank Mike and Chris for the awesome questions this week for the Back Porch Q&A session. You guys touched my heart tonight with these questions, and you guys did a great job here. I want to thank Rob for joining me tonight last minute. I appreciate you reaching out to me saying that you wanted to be a part of this, and I'm glad that you were on here, and hope I didn't bore you tonight, but no, seriously, bro, thank you for coming on here, and of course the friendship and brotherhood as well, and thank you for being part of this podcast tonight, man. I really do.
Listen, man, episode 297, I think it was, back in 2022. That was when you interviewed me on the Hoots podcast. I'll never forget that moment. You know what I'm saying? So, when I told you that I would be there for the last episode, and I kept my word.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Tony, man, thank you as well. I've always had a blast recording the show with you, regardless of whether we were talking about New Japan or whatever, but also our conversations about stuff that had nothing to do with wrestling outside of the fact, we talked about this the last time we shooted the shit a couple weeks ago, but still the sentiments remain the same. I love you as a brother, and I appreciate you for being part of this journey with me, especially being here for all these big milestone episodes as well, man. That means a lot to me. You're here for 300, you're here for 400, and here you are tonight for the last episode, and that means a lot to me, brother. You mean a lot to me, and I always be here to support you, and thanks for agreeing to be here tonight. I appreciate it, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Like Rob said, Rob kept his word, and I wouldn't be me if I didn't keep mine. It's, I'm a very private person, and I for me, like, doing a wrestling podcast, it's like, really, like, you want to know about me and like what I think? Like, this is complete bullshit. Like, but because of the circle that we were in, we were able to know each other and strike up a partnership. So, and being there for each other, it's it's not that difficult to do. Once you know somebody, once they let you into that part of life, is a very special thing. So I appreciate you letting me into those parts of your life that mean a lot to you. I value you, appreciate you. I know Rob does too, and the people out there that are listening and watching this, and and we support you throughout whichever endeavor that you're going to do, or whichever you want to do. So support just doesn't end. I think a lot of people, I hate to bring it back to wrestling, but it's like when a wrestler retires, like some people don't support them because they're not in the ring full time anymore. It's like, oh, you just outlived your usefulness and that's it.
Yeah.
But no, it's support just doesn't end here. Like you said, we talk about stuff inside, outside of wrestling. That's the way it's always going to be. And you're valued, you're appreciated in the community, and I have no problem keeping my word. And once we come back here, or we do something together, or we bring Rob in and we talk real stuff that means a lot to us, that's support. And that's always going to be there, and we appreciate you giving us the open forum to talk wrestling and to be ourselves and to be authentic, and we appreciate that.
Before I have my last words, I want to get the plugs out of the way, because I'm going to forget if I don't say this now. As always, if you want to support yours truly, you can hit me up on X at the Hoots Podcast. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to change my Twitter handle. I'll figure that out as I get transitioned into the new project. I'll roll over some things with that. It's probably time for me to change my Twitter handle after all these years. It's interesting that I was suspended at a time on Twitter because I was sharing guitar covers. But hey, if you go on X, you can see full on porn scenes, but nobody gets suspended for that. But right. Anyways, that was a funny time.
Oh boy, I remember that.
Yeah, I think it's probably time for me to change my Twitter handle. But I'm on Instagram as well if you want to check me out at Josh Lopez Music. I'm definitely going to be sharing some more guitar covers now since I'm getting more situated here in Florida. I want to get back to playing guitar again because I missed it. But as far as my new project is concerned, you can check it out. It's called The Surf Files. And you'll find it here on this channel. I'm changing the name here to The Surf Files. So it's SUR Files. It's inspiration from the show. If you guys check out Vanderpump Rules, the restaurant is called Sir, so it makes sense to you guys if you're familiar to Bravo or anything like that. But from there, we have a YouTube channel for the Surf Files. It's at Surf Files, I believe, on YouTube. You guys check that out as well. But also check us out on TikTok, because at the rate I'm going at with the viewership that we're getting, I'm trying to find a way if I can monetize some money for TikTok, because that would help me out a lot. That would help me out if I can start getting some money on TikTok. But help us get to at least like 5,000 followers on TikTok. That would help us out a lot. We're currently at 3,000 right now. So check that out on TikTok at SUR Files. Please, as always, check out my transcript work. I'm not done with wrestling yet. I'm done with podcasting. This is my final episode of Wrestling Talk tonight, but I'm still in the wrestling space. Please check out my day work in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com and my own website, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. As always, the home of the Hoots podcast now, the Surf Files, is Odyssey, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. Just type in the Surf Files. They'll be there free of charge. Same rules apply as we've done here for the last 10 years. Nearly over 1,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel since we started this podcast. Over 3.5 million downloads audio-wise in the last 5 years since we were putting the show on Spotify and Odyssey. and more importantly, a lot of fun and shared experiences and brotherhood along the way. From the bottom of my heart, I can't repay you guys enough for every single one of you who've been a part of this podcast, has supported the show since day one, from the good times and bad times. Even when even stuff like the Vince McMahon scandal started, or releases, or the pandemic, or any bad time during wrestling, I'm honored to say that we've been here for you guys through good times and bad. And your support and continued support has touched my heart, because I was telling Tony this a couple weeks ago. I do not like the sound of my voice. I don't. So the fact that you guys found this show to be interesting for about a decade means a lot to me. It really does. But this is my final goodbye to you guys. And as I closed every single episode of the Hoots podcast, I'm going to do the same right now, because it's the core message that I want to share to you guys. And that is, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. For Rob, from Tony, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 500 of the Hoots podcast, the final episode. I love y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. And enjoy wrestling and be you. Don't change for anybody. We'll talk to y'all. Peace.